Chapter 998. You haven't been home since last night? I wasn't allowed to drive over last night, so I parked my car near your house. This morning, I found out that your house was for sale, Su-che explained simply. I thought you'd slipped away. Xiaoyi blushed and quickly said, I just wanted a change of environment. I just heard it. That's why I asked you to come to my house. The shop assistant looked at the two of them ambiguously, and then silently retreated to the side, leaving the space for the two of them. If you do this, others will think that we're together. You don't have to be so nervous. I'm going to collect rent. Su-che put one hand in his pants pocket and smiled at Xiaoyi. I'll give you the key. I'll send the address to your phone later. You can go take a look when you have time. Okay. Thinking about it carefully, Xiaoyi didn't seem to have any reason to refuse. Then I'll see you tonight. Seeing that Xiaoyi didn't refuse, Su-che put down the key and pushed the door open to leave. Xiaoyi looked at the key and soon received the address that Su-che had sent her. However, looking at the line of words that appeared on the phone screen, she felt that things shouldn't be developing in that direction. She hadn't gotten over the pain of the previous man, and now she was going to get involved with another man? Xiaoyi felt that this was unfair to Su-che, and it was also irresponsible to herself. Now she had a bunch of shortcomings. She didn't want to appear in Su-che's life in such a way, so Xiaoyi suddenly made a decision. Today was Christmas Eve, and it was also Muqiqi's birthday. Su-che got off work early, but when he went home, he didn't see Xiaoyi as he had hoped. Then he went to the dessert shop. When the shop assistant saw him, she quickly took out the key and a letter that Xiaoyi had left for him. I'm sorry, Su-che. I don't think I can agree to your invitation, because stability isn't what I need right now. I want to go out and take a look. I want to know what kind of beautiful things I've wasted all these years. I also want to become a better version of myself, so I'm leaving. I don't know which country I'm going to, and I don't know how long I'll be gone, but I'll remember what you said. I'll think of a way to make myself live a real life. After reading it, Su-che put away the letter and looked at the key in his hand with a slightly helpless expression. Assistant, this is a gift from the store manager. She wishes you a happy Christmas Eve. The shop assistant handed the Santa Claus cake that Xiaoyi had prepared before she left to Su-che. In fact, this outcome was within Su-che's expectations. Because of Xiaoyi, she was a girl with independent thoughts. It was just that in the past, she had lost her way in the midst of hurt. Since this was her choice, then let him see what kind of transformation she would undergo. For the next 6 months, Su-che never saw Xiaoyi again. He didn't even have any news about her. He still went to her dessert shop often, although the taste of the pastries had been greatly reduced after Xiaoyi left. He would still log into the game occasionally to see if Xiaoyi would be bored. However, Xiaoyi had disappeared very completely, so the profile picture box in her friends list had always been dark. Ever since she left, it had never lit up again. From then on, Su-che's life returned to normal. Muqiqi and Sheng Xiao found it strange. Could it be that he really wanted to encourage the girl out of kindness? Su-che, another half a year has passed. Shouldn't you bring the next girl to see me dissect? Muqiqi had once asked Su-che indirectly. Did he really want to be a bachelor for the rest of his life? I don't have anyone I like for the time being. Su-che wasn't waiting for Xiaoyi on purpose. He just felt that there was still a faint connection between him and Xiaoyi. Uncle Su, Tang Xiaobao already has a girlfriend. Why don't you have one yet? Little Chi sat on the sofa, nibbling on her bread as she asked Su-che. The Tang Xiaobao she mentioned was the treasure of Tang Yan's family. That's because Xiaobao is amazing. Is it because Daddy doesn't want to send Uncle a girlfriend? Little Chi looked innocent. After Muqiqi heard this, her forehead was filled with black lines. She suddenly felt that her daughter had indeed inherited more from her. It's because Uncle hasn't met the real fated person yet. How's my mommy? Uncle Su, let my mommy be your girlfriend. That way, no one will snatch Daddy from me. Muqiqi. Su-che. Little Chi, I think this is a good suggestion. Why don't you tell Daddy when he comes back? Muqiqi deliberately set a trap. She wanted Master Xiao to throw her daughter into the cold palace. Okay. Little Chi didn't realize at all that this was her mother's love. She was only happy that she could dominate her father. Su Che didn't know whether to laugh or cry, so he found an excuse to leave the banyan courtyard. For someone like the young madam, only Xing Xiao could know what was going on in her heart. As for him, he should just continue to be single. Returning to this land after half a year, Xiaoyi felt as if it was a lifetime ago. When she appeared at the entrance of the dessert shop again, her shop assistant didn't recognize her at a glance. She thought she was a customer. "I'm sorry, but the shop is already closed. So when I'm not around, you guys are all so lazy," Xiaoyi replied as she crossed her arms and looked at them. Then, she felt the stunned gazes of the few people. "Oh my God, store manager. Is that you? Store manager? You've lost weight, and you know how to dress up." The Xiaoyi in front of her was no longer that chubby little girl. She had lost a lot of weight. Moreover, because she had become beautiful after losing weight, she was much more confident. "Store manager, quickly tell me, what happened to you in the past 6 months?" At this moment, Xiaoyi was wearing a white spaghetti strap dress. She looked fashionable and intellectual. She had indeed changed her appearance. She was no longer the Xiaoyi who would be afraid of the dark for a man. "If you want to hear a story, you have to wait for me to sit down first, right?" Xiaoyi rolled her eyes. Actually, she had already expected that when she returned to the shop, it would definitely cause a stir. In the past 6 months, she had traveled to 23 countries and constantly volunteered. It was also because of this busy schedule that she had unknowingly lost so much weight. It was never intentional. "Then, store manager, are you still leaving now that you're back?" Xiaoyi shook her head. "I'm tired from walking. I want to rest." "Then, have you contacted Special Assistant Su in the past 6 months?" The shop assistant asked again. This time, Xiaoyi didn't answer because she didn't know how to answer. What right did she have to make people wait for her? Chapter 999. The shop assistant looked at her expression and knew that she was wasting natural resources. She said helplessly, "Although you are heartless, Special Assistant Su still comes over every few days, even if our cake is expensive and unpalatable. Speaking of which, he came here today." Xiaoyi fiddled with her long curly hair, her expression a little complicated. "Do as you see fit." Xiaoyi scratched her bangs. For a moment, she really didn't know what to do with Su Che. She still had Su Che's contact information in her phone. Looking at her suitcase, she took out her phone and dialed Su Che's number. "Hello. Who is this?" On the other end of the phone, Su Che didn't have Xiaoyi's new phone number. "This is Xiaoyi. Do you want to come out for a drink?" "I'm going back to the shop," Xiaoyi asked directly over the phone. "I'll be there in half an hour," Su Che replied in a deep voice after a few seconds of pause. After a short exchange, Xiaoyi hung up the phone. However, after putting down the phone, she saw her employees giving her a thumbs up. "Store manager, you've changed. You've become more confident, and you're willing to try and communicate." "Just because I called Su Che." Xiaoyi smiled faintly. That was because this group of people had never seen her when she was abroad. She was now used to kissing foreigners on the cheek, and she was also used to wearing fashionable and sexy clothes. When she met handsome men, she would strike up a conversation. When she walked on the bustling streets, she would also look forward to romantic encounters. Of course, she only thought about it in her heart, and had never put it into action. "You guys can get off work first. Take out all the wine," Xiaoyi said to the employees. "I wish you and Special Assistant Su a pleasant evening." The employees winked at her ambiguously. Xiaoyi recalled Su Che's appearance. In fact, she could only remember a rough outline, but she still remembered his figure clearly. "A pleasant evening?" She made it sound as if something was going to happen. Xiaoyi laughed. After the employees left, she walked to the kitchen counter and began to mix drinks. This was a new interest she had recently fallen in love with. Half an hour later, Su Che arrived at Xiaoyi's shop. The moment he pushed open the door, he could no longer see the chubby Xiaoyi from before. The woman standing in front of the kitchen counter was sexy and charming. She seemed to have been deeply influenced by foreign countries. From her dressing to her appearance, she was more like a European and American woman. Xiaoyi felt the burning gaze, so she raised her head and placed a cup of Long Island iced tea in front of Su-che. Sit and try how it tastes. Have you changed from making pastries to mixing drinks? Xiaoyi couldn't deny it. She poured herself a glass of brandy and walked out of the kitchen counter to take a seat opposite Su-che. Su-che picked up the wine glass and took a sip before putting it down. You've changed a lot in the past 6 months. Yes, it's quite big. Xiaoyi nodded and smiled. I've tried many things and seen many things that I've never experienced before. You, on the other hand, haven't changed much. 2 days ago, young madam asked me when I would bring a girl to see her dissection again. Am I interested? Since they had met again, Su-che did not intend to beat around the bush. Xiaoyi. Now. Xiao-xiao-che. Xiao-xiao-xiao, xiao of xiao since. Xiaoyi, Xiaoyi said. Su, xiao-xiao-xiao. Do you know what this means? Xiaoyi put down her glass and propped up her arm to look at Su-che. Then, she teasingly hooked Su-che's chin and said, I want to fall in love too. Then, shall we go to my house tonight? Su-che looked at her luggage in the corner and asked. Sure. Unexpectedly this time, Xiaoyi nodded and said yes. She seemed to have completely changed. She had become proactive and confident. She seemed to have learned to enjoy life and everything in front of her. Her shop assistant was right. Su-che was indeed a rare man. Since she had already started over, why couldn't she muster up her courage and take the initiative to win this man back? After leaving for half a year, she wasn't sure if Su-che would wait for her. However, when she returned to the shop and heard the news about Su-che from the staff, she knew that Su-che was still willing to be with her, and that he didn't have a new lover. After the two of them had a drink in the shop, Su-che brought Xiaoyi back to his villa. Xiaoyi had rejected the key back then. Now she felt that it was a pity. Can an assistant be so rich? I'll also make some investments. Su-che placed her luggage beside the sofa in the living room and asked her, Do you want to sleep on the 2nd or 3rd floor? What's the difference? Xiaoyi turned around and asked. The 2nd floor is my bedroom, and the 3rd floor is the guest room. Su-che leaned back on the sofa and answered honestly. After Xiaoyi heard this, she didn't answer immediately. Instead, she asked Su-che, Can I use the pool? Of course. After Xiaoyi heard this, she immediately took off her high heels and jumped into the pool. Then Su-che saw a mermaid swimming in the pool. A moment later, Xiaoyi stood by the pool. Facing the sparkling water, she hooked her finger at Su-che. Su-che didn't even take off his shirt. He jumped into the water and swam to Xiaoyi's side. You've become bad. Xiaoyi took the opportunity to hook her arm around Su-che's waist, her heart pounding. I want to sleep in your room. I want to enjoy it. It's a relationship between adults. Su-che hugged her waist and pulled her out of the water. Have you been so bold to others abroad? Of course not, because there's no Su-che abroad, and not everyone can be Su-che. After hearing this, Su-che didn't hesitate and directly brought her to the bedroom. Don't regret it. Xiaoyi hooked her arms around Su-che's neck and smiled charmingly. Of course, she wouldn't hesitate. After going out for half a year, she had been deeply influenced by the thoughts of foreign women and had become confident and independent. As a woman, why couldn't she enjoy the love of a man? Especially when she was traversing the canyons of South Africa alone, skiing in Queenstown, and crossing the Alps. She wanted to have a partner by her side, and a relationship that wouldn't break up. Soon the two of them lay on the bed wet. It wasn't until Su-che pressed on top of her that Xiaoyi felt real. Be gentle. I'm afraid of pain. If you know you're afraid, why are you seducing me? Su-che pressed on top of her and asked in amusement. Can't I? Can't I be like the women abroad and enjoy love freely? I'm no longer the conservative me I used to be. After saying that, Xiaoyi took the initiative to slide down her shoulder strap, and even winked at Su-che. Damn it! With Xiaoyi's action, Su-che realized that he had a reaction. It was a strong desire to possess her. Chapter 1000. Su-che's hand naturally caressed the woman's delicate skin. His hot and wet kiss also became intense and crazy with his desire. The two of them quickly took off their drenched clothes. However, unlike the shyness of other women, Xiaoyi boldly admired the man's strong body. There was a hint of provocation in her eyes. This naturally aroused the man's desire to conquer her. Therefore, Su Che did not hesitate. He also boldly took possession of this woman and completely made her his. The bedroom was filled with an ambiguous atmosphere. The two of them had a hearty time and then turned to the bathroom. This was destined to be a sleepless night. Xiaoyi was extremely exhausted and felt pain all over her body. However, what Su Che gave her was an extremely extreme experience. Perhaps this was the strength of martial artists. The next morning, Su Che woke up and subconsciously reached out to hug Xiaoyi. However, he was met with serious resistance from the woman. "Don't. I feel bad. I just want to hug you and take a hot bath," Su Che quickly explained. "Have a good rest at home today. I think you can't get out of bed." Only then did Xiaoyi know what it meant to blush. "No, I'm going to the shop. I'm going to upgrade the dessert shop. I'm no longer selling childish cakes for children." Xiaoyi hooked her arms around Su Che's neck and said, "After the bath, you don't have to worry about me. Go to work. I have my own things to do." Su Che almost forgot that she was now independent and a woman of the new era. "After sleeping with someone, you're going back on your word? When did I?" Xiaoyi blinked. "Isn't it good to let us maintain our independence? I only feel your cunning." After saying that, Su Che leaned in again. "You don't need to move. I'll move." What a joke. He had been single for 32 years. Now that he had finally tasted flesh, how could Su Che let it go so easily? This time, it was already 9 o'clock in the morning. According to the time, Su Che should have reported to Zhongting long ago. However, because of Xiaoyi, for the first time in his life, he knew what it meant to be late. Xiaoyi was completely taken advantage of, so she didn't care anymore. She directly clamped her legs around Su Che's waist. "Don't even think about going to work today. Is that so?" Su Che asked hoarsely. He really didn't plan on going to work today. "Then don't even think about getting out of bed for the next 3 days. Did it have to be so intense?" Xiaoyi didn't have time to think. In short, according to the people at the dessert shop, they really didn't see Xiaoyi again in the next 3 days. It was rare for Su Che to take a 3-day vacation. For the past 3 days, the two of them had been staying in Su Che's house. Xiaoyi was wearing Su Che's shirt, her long legs bare as she busied herself in the kitchen. What she didn't realize was that this place could turn into a battlefield at any time. In the past 3 days, where else had they not been intimate? 3 days later, Xiaoyi finally walked out of the door. She drove Su Che's flashy car to the dessert shop in a high-profile manner. The employees in the shop were extremely curious, so they took the opportunity to ask Xiaoyi, "Store manager, where have you been for the past 3 days? Besides, why did he drive Special Assistant Su's car here?" "I'm going to deal with the important matters of my life." Xiaoyi hummed a song as she waved at them. From the looks of it, she was in a good mood. After the employees came over, she said, "I'm going to upgrade the shop soon. Also, I've bought the few shops next to it. When the time comes, the area will expand by more than 5 times. All of you are old employees of the shop. If you want to stay, of course I welcome you. If you feel that the 3-month renovation period is too long and you can't wait, I can arrange other jobs for you." After they heard this, they couldn't help but look at each other. After going out for half a year, the store manager was indeed different when she came back. In the past, when she sold desserts, her business was so good that she had never thought of expanding the shop. After going out for half a year and coming back, she had indeed thought things through and knew that making money was very important. Therefore, the few of them immediately showed their loyalty. "We're willing to stay and wait for the shop to be upgraded." "Oh, this is too unfair to you. How about this? You can take a vacation with a basic salary. When you're free, you can also participate in the shop's promotional activities. How about that?" The employees immediately applauded her. There weren't many bosses like her nowadays. "I'll keep the dessert part. On this basis, the renovation will be upgraded, and there will be a high-end bar and a pet water bar next to it." "But store manager, this will cost a lot of money, right? I've already sold the apartment and car at a discount. It's completely enough. You don't have to worry." Xiaoyi quickly comforted them. "Store manager, you're so cool now. You're so cool." Xiaoyi, who had returned from abroad, was not only confident, but also courageous. This was a completely different person from the Xiao Yi of the past. However, just as the few of them were praising Xiao Yi's progress, her useless brother came looking for her. The employees quickly signaled to Xiao Yi that the troublemaker had come looking for trouble. In the past, Xiao Yi had suffered a lot for this scumbag brother. Xiao Yi understood their hints. She crossed her arms and turned around. Her expression was no longer as cowardly as before. You don't have money to spend again? Xiao Tong looked at his sister who had turned around. He was so surprised that his eyeballs almost fell out. You're really Xiao Yi? You don't know me anymore? Xiao Yi pulled out a chair with a mocking expression. I've only been back for a few days, and you're already looking for me? Xiao Yi, I'm your brother after all. For the sake of our blood relationship, help me one more time. Xiao Yi glanced at him, then took out her phone and called the police in front of Xiao Tong. Hello, are you the police? I'm the owner of the dessert shop Xiao Yi. Someone here is causing trouble. Xiao Tong didn't expect Xiao Yi to become so domineering. He quickly said, You can't go that far, right? I'm just looking for my sister to reminisce about the past. But I don't want to reminisce about the past with you. I've been squeezed a lot by you in the past. You should be satisfied. I won't allow you to gamble without a bottom line. When the employees saw this, they secretly gave Xiao Yi a thumbs up. How cool, store manager. Aren't you leaving yet? Don't blame me for not warning you. Su Che has already informed the police here. Xiao Tong had no choice but to retreat from the dessert shop. But in fact, Xiao Yi didn't even make the call. Store manager, I heard you mention special assistant Su. Yes, I moved out my boyfriend. What's the problem? Xiao Yi asked the little cutie in the shop. Let's close early today. We have to start preparing for the renovation tomorrow. You guys can take the pastries back tonight, and leave one for me. Boyfriend. So for those 3 days, the store manager had been with special assistant Su? He couldn't be more handsome. Chapter 1001. Late that night, Su Che rode his motorcycle to the dessert shop to pick Xiao Yi up from work. The employees in the shop saw Su Che wearing a jacket and gloves. He looks so cool. Store manager, you're so happy. Xiao Yi looked up and saw Su Che pushing the door open. Her heart warmed, and her face was filled with satisfaction. Then she handed the last piece of cake to Su Che. Didn't you say that your nephew lives nearby? This is a gift from Auntie. You're willing to go? Su Che was stunned for a few seconds as he looked at the exquisite cake box and asked. In fact, he was a little surprised. Because the two of them had just confirmed their relationship. Very few girls were willing to have contact with the man's family in such a short period of time. Why not? I'm also looking forward to seeing little Liden. Xiao Yi supported herself on the cashier counter and smiled. Do you need to report in advance? I'll just make a call. Su Che took out his phone and answered. Oh my, you're going to meet the parents. The employees in the shop jeered. How lucky. Xiao Yi glared at them and threw the key to the employees. You guys close the shop. Then, she took the cake box and walked to Su Che's side. As Su Che made the call, he reached out and put his arm around Xiao Yi's waist. Leave the car here. Just walk. Your family must be very surprised. Xiao Yi could imagine the expressions of Su Che's family when they heard the news. They'll like you, especially little Liden. Su Che held Xiao Yi's hand and led her into his brother's residential area. In fact, when Su Che's brother received the call, he thought Su Che was joking. Why did he suddenly fall in love and bring her home? Did he understand the family situation clearly? Was she a good girl? His brother was very worried, and little Liden was also unhappy. His uncle had clearly said that he wanted to pursue the owner of the dessert shop at the door. But now he actually likes someone else. So the little guy sat on the sofa in the living room and sulked. Soon, Su Che appeared at his brother's door with Xiao Yi. Brother Su opened the door and saw the girl. Other than feeling that she was beautiful, he also felt that she was very familiar. This is my brother. Brother, this is Xiao Yi. Xiao Yi. Brother Su tried very hard to search for information about this girl in his mind, because he always felt as if he had seen her somewhere. But he could not remember. Come in first. Your call came suddenly. Your sister-in-law hasn't come back from a business trip. Son, come and get her. Little Liden pouted and sat on the sofa, looking as if he didn't want to talk to anyone. Yang, uncle, you didn't keep your word. You clearly said that you would chase after the dessert lady. The primary school student expressed great resistance and protest. I don't like you, and I don't like her. You are rude. Apologize to uncle. Elder brother Su quickly scolded his son. Su Che and Xiaoyi looked at each other and smiled. Then take a look. What did Auntie bring you? The primary school student recognized the packaging. It was the cake from the dessert shop. Humph, don't try to bribe me even if you have a cake. The primary school student was very loyal. Su Che was helpless. He looked at Xiaoyi, but her smile did not diminish. Little Liden, I didn't expect you to have such a bad temper. Let me tell you, this is the last cake in our shop. You won't be able to eat it for the next few months. As soon as Xiaoyi finished speaking, the primary school student turned around and looked at Xiaoyi in disbelief. You are that fat lady boss? You lost weight. You're rude. Call me auntie. Su Che handed the cake to him and knocked him on the head. Don't hit me like that. The teacher said that I'll become stupid. The primary school student expressed his dissatisfaction. I didn't expect you to be so fast. You're worth encouraging. Auntie, come in quickly. You've become so beautiful. Elder brother Su looked at the primary school student whose emotions changed like a tornado, and his expression looked very helpless. Of course, he did not expect Su Che to really listen to the primary school student's words and pursue the lady boss. After a very pleasant dinner, Xiaoyi played games on the balcony with the primary school student. Elder brother Su tugged at Su Che and asked, I heard that the lady boss was so desperate for a man. What's going on? This was Xiaoyi's past, and Su Che could not erase it. He said to his brother, Brother, Xiaoyi did have a relationship in the past. It wasn't that pleasant, but I know the whole process very well. You have to trust my judgment. I'm afraid that you'll lose your head in love. Don't worry. The person your son likes won't be too bad. Elder brother Su tilted his head and saw that Xiaoyi and his son were having such a good time. He was slightly relieved. If that's the case, then take advantage of it. As an elder brother, I only hope to see you happy. Don't worry. Su Che looked at Xiaoyi, and his gaze became extremely gentle. This was the first time elder brother Su had seen Su Che like this, and he understood that he had fallen in love. It's very late. It's about time you guys go back. The little guy still needs to sleep and go to school. Just come often in the future. Su Che nodded, but little Liden was reluctant to leave. He pouted. I won't be able to eat delicious cake in the future. If you want to eat it, call your uncle. I'll prepare it for you in advance. You can choose the taste. How about it? Yay! The little guy jumped up. Xiaoyi smiled and rubbed his head. Then, she and Su Che left her brother's house hand in hand. Because they were too full, the two of them took a walk to digest their food. Seeing that Su Che was silent, Xiaoyi leaned on his arm and asked, Does your brother not like me? There were so many bad rumors about me near the neighborhood. I was afraid that he would misunderstand me. You came just like that. I thought you didn't mind how my brother thought of you. Su Che replied with a smile. How could I not care? We'll have to interact for a long time in the future. My brother is a very open-minded person. Even if he had doubts about you before, he made it clear to me just now. In addition, little Liden likes you so much, so you don't have to worry at all. Actually, I'm the one who should be afraid. I'm afraid that you don't like my family. After Xiaoyi heard this, she smiled slightly. You know that I don't have a complete family, and I don't have any relatives worth getting along with. So, after going abroad for half a year, when I saw the way foreign women got along with their families, I was very envious, and I longed for a family from the bottom of my heart. Besides, I also like little Liden very much. After hearing Xiaoyi's words, Su Che couldn't help but reach out and hug her. From now on, this will also be your home. In a few days, I'll bring you to see my friend. She smiled and leaned against Su Che's chest and nodded. I'm also looking forward to seeing forensic Dr. Mu's autopsy for the second time. Chapter 1002. Su Che and Xiaoyi's lives were extremely simple. During the day, Che went to work while Xiao Yi worked in her new shop. At night, the two of them cooked and rested at home, loving each other on the big bed. Sometimes Xiao Yi would also go to the movies. Che would buy the movie tickets in advance. The two of them were like ordinary couples, holding popcorn and Coke as they shuttled through the crowd. Soon Che made an appointment for Mu Qiqi's anatomy class. After Mu Qiqi heard this, she was really shocked. Half a year ago Che was already stupid. How could he still be so stupid half a year later? Why did he like to bring girls to watch her dissection so much? Why did he not go to so many dating places? What was so good about dissection? Mu Qiqi seriously suspected that there was something wrong with Che's brain. But Che smiled and did not say anything. Was this his new trick to pick up girls? No matter what, Mu Qiqi still agreed to Che's unusual request. So this time, she arranged a particularly disgusting view of the giant. She did not believe that any girl would dare to come next time. At 7 o'clock in the evening, Che rode his motorcycle and brought Xiao Yi to the Jianchuan branch office. When the people at the branch office saw that Che had brought another girl over after half a year, and it was in the forensics laboratory, they immediately felt that it was unbelievable. Compared to the girl last time, this time it was a beauty. Xiao Yi held back her laughter and followed behind Che. When the two of them entered the forensics laboratory, they were holding hands. Mu Qiqi saw them at a glance and was a little shocked. It seemed that Che was serious this time. Che, why can't you get past my dissection table? Mu Qiqi blocked the terrifying corpse and sat on a chair as she asked Che. Che smiled slightly, but Xiao Yi laughed out loud. Forensic Dr. Mu, long time no see. You. Hearing this familiar voice, Mu Qiqi finally understood what was going on. You're the girl who came half a year ago, right? It's me, Xiao Yi. Mu Qiqi came to a sudden realization and glared at Che. Look at you. It's fine if it's the first time you brought me here. I understand your good intentions, but this is the second time. You're already my girlfriend, and you don't even know to change places. It's not his fault. I wanted to come and observe. Xiao Yi quickly spoke up for Che. Half a year ago, watching your dissection made me understand the meaning of life. Half a year later, I want to come back and see if my state of mind will change even more. After Mu Qiqi heard this, she gave Xiao Yi a thumbs up. You're a real man, but the one I prepared today is a little, heavy. Maybe after you see it, you won't be able to take it. You'll vomit. It's nothing more than a giant view. I've seen it before. Xiao Yi said calmly. I've been a volunteer in a Middle Eastern country and seen such a scene. I'm not afraid. Then why did you come to see this? You've seen it and felt it. It's definitely more intense than mine. I believe you've already figured out the meaning of life. There's no need for you to suffer again. After Xiao Yi finished laughing, she glanced at Che and replied, Actually, we're here to pick you up from work. I want to treat you to a meal. You should have said so earlier. Mu Qiqi looked relaxed and stood up from the chair. I'm going to change now. Wait outside. Mu Qiqi had always been a Buddhist when it came to making friends. If their three views were the same, they could get along. If their three views were not the same, there was no need to force it. Now that she saw Che's girlfriend, she suddenly had a premonition that perhaps their sister group was going to grow stronger again. No wonder Che's dressing had become more and more exquisite these few days. It turned out that he was no longer single. In order to get everyone to see Che's girlfriend, Mu Qiqi took advantage of the time. She was changing to send a message to her sister group. Feng Shanshan and Lu Qianqian immediately responded. Even Song Qiaoji asked for the address of the meal. Che had been a bachelor for 10,000 years. They wanted to see what kind of fairy he had found. Because the women were curious, the men had to accompany them. Tang Yan, Lin Muan and Sheng Kai were all ordered to get off work early by their wives. However, after doing this, Mu Qiqi suddenly felt a little guilty. What if the other party was a stranger? She had called so many people at once. She didn't know if she would scare them. But who asked Che not to be honest? Half an hour later, Mu Qiqi and the other two were having dinner in a 5-star hotel owned by Zhongting. Soon, Sheng Xiao picked up his daughter from kindergarten and met up at the hotel. This was the first time Xiao Yi had seen Sheng Xiao in person. He was a super rich man who could rival a country. He was someone who could turn the tides in Jianchuan. Tang Yin and Feng Shanshan, as well as Lu Qianqian and Lin Muan, appeared immediately after them. Xiao Yi was stunned when she saw them. Mu Qiqi smiled. After dinner, let's go to the Sky Garden on the 5th floor for a drink. Also, you don't have to be nervous at all. It would be strange if she wasn't nervous. The people who appeared were all the top figures in Jianchuan. Su Che quickly held her palm and whispered in her ear. Relax. I didn't expect so many people to come. Just pretend that you know them. They're all easy to get along with. Seeing the two of them whispering into each other's ears, Mu Qiqi quickly pulled Xiao Yi into the group of women. From now on, you belong to us. Only when we go home can you belong to Su Che. Mu Qiqi brought Xiao Yi, who was full, to the garden on the 5th floor with Feng Shanshan and the others. It could be seen that they often gathered here, so they were familiar with the place. Xiao Yi was sandwiched between them, and soon reached the heart of the garden. Then, she was pushed onto the sofa by Mu Qiqi. Hurry up and share with us your relationship with Su Che. I'm dying of curiosity. Xiao Yi looked at the 3 different types of women surrounding her, and realized that they were going to gossip. How did you meet? Why did you suddenly lose so much weight? What have you been doing for the past 6 months? Xiao Yi scratched her head. She really couldn't stand the enthusiasm of these women, so she hurriedly said, Sit down first and listen to me in detail. You have to understand our feelings. Su Che is already 32 years old. We hate marrying for him. Mu Qiqi sat opposite Xiao Yi and crossed her arms. On the other side, there were also the helpless men who came one after another. Tang Yin was still in the middle of a meeting when he was called out. Lin Mu and had just returned from a business trip and hadn't even had time to change his clothes. Shen Kai was even worse off. He was halfway through his discussion with the foreign guests when he was scared by Song Qiaoji's call. He thought that something had happened to her. Only Shen Kai was the calmest, because he was already used to it. The 3 of them sat beside Su Che. Lin Muan gestured with his chin to Xiao Yi and asked Su Che, Girlfriend? Yes. Su Che nodded. I can finally understand why these women are crazy. Lin Muan had a look of understanding. These women can talk about everything from astronomy to geography. And then from under the bed to in bed. They can even tell you their abilities in that area. Chapter 1003. Among them, Tang Yin and Sheng Xiao were both fathers, so they naturally had to be different from the other 2. They spent more time on their families. Therefore, Sheng Xiao and Tang Yin did not know that these women could chat so freely. They did not know how they would describe their men's abilities in that aspect. Lin Muan's guess was right. When women gathered together, the gossip would never leave the man. For example, what Mu Qiqi was most concerned about was where Su Che had gone during his 3-day leave. Hearing this, Xiao Yi's face immediately turned red. In those 3 days, she and Su Che had been in love without restraint. Just thinking about it made people feel shy. Seeing Xiao Yi's reaction, how could the married women who had children not understand what was going on? I didn't expect Su Che to be so wild. He came for 3 days. Mu Qiqi could not help but click her tongue. Keep your voices down. It's so embarrassing if they hear us. Xiao Yi quickly covered her face. Mu Qiqi looked at Xiao Yi and said, Do you think they don't know what we're talking about? If it weren't for Master Xiao and Tang Yin, they wouldn't have been able to judge us. I'm really envious of you guys for dating. You're not an old couple like us. We still have children at home. I'm not the first, Mu Qiqi said, putting on an act. Lu Qianqian immediately glared at Mu Qiqi. Come on, enough is enough. Who doesn't know that Master Xiao is famous for doting on his wife? You're still pretending to be obedient after getting what you want. There's no more passion. You won't understand even if I tell you. There's no more passion? Sheng Xiao sat at the side and used his clairaudient to hear a woman's complaint. Very good. Just like that, Xiao Yi was pulled into Mu Qiqi's group of sisters. From time to time, they could go shopping and drink tea together. It sounded very good. Moreover, Xiao Yi realized that Mu Qiqi, who was not wearing a white coat, had lost her seriousness. She had become straightforward and easy to get along with. They were all very good people. Soon, The women exchanged secrets on a large scale with flushed faces. Then, they were taken home by their respective men. The one who suffered the most was Mu Qiqi. When they stepped out of the hotel, Sheng Xiao behaved as usual. After Mu Qiqi got into the car, he brought her to the revolving restaurant. After entering the room, he pressed her down on the dining table. When Mu Qiqi saw the man taking off his clothes, she quickly said, "What are you doing? Our daughter is still waiting for us at home. You're the one who said that there's no more passion. Today I'll teach you what passion is." With that, Sheng Xiao pressed himself between Mu Qiqi's legs, not allowing her to resist at all. His sharp eyes stared at Mu Qiqi, as if she was a prey on a platter. Mu Qiqi looked at the beautiful Ferris wheel outside the window, and suddenly felt a little hopeless. When did this man's ears become so sharp? At first, she thought that he would be angry, and teach her a lesson at most. But she did not expect that she would be put on the table by a certain man that night, in all kinds of positions, from all kinds of angles. It was so embarrassing. The scariest thing was that he didn't stop that night. Mu Qiqi was tormented until dawn when she finally blacked out. She swore that she would never say such things behind this man's back again. The other couples were also affectionate when they went home, but they were not as intense as Master Xiao, especially Xiao Yi and Su Che. They were affectionate 2 or 3 times before they turned off the lights and went to sleep. Soon, 3 months had passed, and the previously childish dessert shop had transformed into a very tasteful water bar at the moment. The area was more than 3 times larger, and it was rich and varied. In order not to disappoint the children nearby, the dessert section was still maintained. Moreover, it was a pastry chef personally trained by Xiao Yi. The standard was maintained before she left, and the price did not change. However, Xiao Yi spent more effort on the water bar and bar. She opened the door in another direction, separating it from the dessert shop. After that, Xiao Yi also found many so-called public accounts to promote her, as well as some food experts to come over to scout. Soon, her shop became an online shop that dominated the area. At this time, Kings of Glory's KPL was in the middle of a competition. There were still many customers in the shop who loved to play. Some customers even watched the competition in her shop. However, when she saw that familiar name, her heart no longer wavered. It was as if she was facing a stranger. At the end of the year, Xiao Yi earned enough money, so she dragged Su Che to a luxury car shop to buy herself a Porsche. In fact, at this time, Su Che had the intention to propose. Because Xiao Yi had said that she wanted a home, an equal, free, healthy and warm home. Su Che felt that this was the right time. He had even bought a diamond proposal ring. However, before he could give it away, Xiao Yi received a call from the Volunteer Association, asking her to go abroad to volunteer again. Xiao Yi agreed immediately. She didn't even discuss it with Su Che, and she had been gone for 3 months. Su Che was secretly a little disappointed. In fact, Xiao Yi discovered the ring Su Che had hidden in the bedside table. She understood what Su Che meant, but she wanted to be a volunteer because that was where her new life would begin. Or perhaps, she just wanted to hide the fear in her heart. "Su Che, can you wait for me for another 3 months? When I come back from abroad, I'll get married to you." Xiao Yi didn't notice that when she said the word marriage, she might not even be able to convince herself. Su Che shook his head and rejected Xiao Yi's suggestion. "The reason why you agreed to volunteer abroad is because you don't want to marry me. So, even if you go out for 3 months, you're still afraid of getting married. Can you tell me why?" Su Che didn't get angry, but he was rarely serious. When Xiao Yi saw this, she could only ask truthfully, Have you ever found out about my parents?" Su Che shook his head. "No, because you didn't mention it, and I don't want to open up your scars. My father and mother loved each other very much before they got married. But not long after they got married, my father started to abuse my mother. My mother endured it for 20 years and finally, she couldn't help but end my father's life. She's still in prison." Xiao Yi shrugged helplessly. "I grew up in an extremely unsound family environment, and I met such a brother and a scumbag. So I'm very afraid of marriage. I want to have a family with you, but can we not register it? I know this idea is ridiculous, but there's no need to say anything. I understand. Suche reached out and hugged her. I can wait for you to open up the knot in your heart, but you have to work hard with me. Marriage isn't what you think it is, and I won't allow you to escape. Don't be a volunteer, okay? After Xiaoyi heard this, she nodded. I'm sorry. I seem to have a lot of bad habits. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Suche didn't mind. He only felt love for her. If you encounter something like this in the future, just tell me directly. Don't run away. Is our relationship that weak? After Xiaoyi heard this, she felt very guilty and quickly gave him a soft kiss. I was wrong. Don't be angry. Chapter 1004. In the following days, the relationship between the two of them was very stable. Xiaoyi was busy opening the next chain store, while Suche was still busy by Sheng Zhao's side. The two of them never forced each other to contact each other. If they missed each other, they would take the initiative to call each other and say, I miss you. At night, the two of them cooked together. Occasionally, when they were in the mood, they would be lovey-dovey in the kitchen. Xiaoyi liked the space and freedom that Suche gave her, because it represented Suche's absolute trust. From time to time, Xiaoyi would bring the cake to see little Litten. Suche's big brother would also ask the two of them when they planned to settle down. Xiaoyi didn't want brother Su to misunderstand Suche, so she took the initiative to explain that it was her problem. She hoped that brother Su could give her some time to have the courage to believe in marriage. Since the girl was so honest, brother Su couldn't say much. He just advised her not to think too long, because some things had to be experienced to know. Xiaoyi knew it herself, but she just couldn't muster up the courage, even though there were many times when she had the urge to register with Suche immediately. It was another winter, and the little princess of the Sheng family was about to turn 4. Muqiqi had called long ago to urge Xiaoyi. The party was about to start, so why wasn't she here yet? During this period of time, Xiaoyi had opened many branches in Jianchuan. She was already a wealthy woman, but because of this, she became much busier. Sometimes it was 1 or 2 in the morning when she got home. Xiaoyi naturally wouldn't miss the little princess's birthday. After apologizing to Muqiqi over the phone, she immediately packed her things and left. But just as she put on her coat and went out with her keys, she suddenly saw a familiar figure. Xiaoyi, save me. The person knelt in front of Xiaoyi with a thud. Xiaoyi was a little shocked, because she had never thought that she would actually see this person. Emo and Nan. I'm in a lot of debt now, and I have nowhere else to go. Xiaoyi put on her clothes and coldly called for the security guard. Do as you see fit. I still have something to do, so I'll be leaving first. Seeing this scumbag again, Xiaoyi had almost no emotions. Perhaps Suche had long since healed the pain in her heart. With that, Xiaoyi took her bag and was about to leave. However, Emo and Nan took out a dagger from his pocket and pointed it at his neck, threatening Xiaoyi. If you don't help me today, I'll die in your shop. Xiaoyi looked at Emo and Nan's childish actions and sneered. She shook her head. Forget it. Consider it a punishment for being blind back then. With that, she took out her phone and dialed the number for the police. Emo and Nan was shocked when he saw this because he did not expect Xiaoyi to be so cold-hearted now. You can die here. I'll call the police for you. The police will come and collect your body. With that, Xiaoyi put away her phone and turned around. At this moment, Suche pushed open the door and entered. At this critical moment, Suche suddenly reached out to hug Xiaoyi tightly and quickly turned around. The tip of Emo and Nan's knife pierced through Suche's jacket, and dark red blood immediately flowed out. Suche. After Suche helped Xiaoyi steady herself, he comforted her. It's fine. It's just a superficial wound. When the security guard saw this, he quickly stepped forward and stopped Emo and Nan. I called you just now, but you didn't answer. I wanted to tell you about this. This scumbag slept with the club boss's woman and was trapped in bed. Now, not only has he been kicked out of the club, but he also owes tens of millions of yuan. After hearing Suche's explanation, Xiaoyi immediately said anxiously, What does this have to do with me? I'm worried about you. Suche glanced at his wound and touched Xiaoyi's hair. It's really just a small injury. I'll send you to the Banyan courtyard first. Leave this to me. Xiaoyi took a deep breath and nodded. I agree to your arrangement, but you have to bandage me first, and let me see your wound. The waiter in the shop quickly went to get the first aid kit. Su Che couldn't argue with Xiaoyi, so he took off his jacket and let her see the wound. Unexpectedly, in just a few minutes, blood had already dyed his shirt red. And you said it's a small injury? It's almost to the bone. Xiaoyi immediately burst into tears. You're my girlfriend. If I don't protect you, who will? Su Che sat on the chair and watched Xiaoyi press his wound. He didn't even frown. At this moment, Xiaoyi was silent. After the bandaging was done, she hugged Su Che tightly, because she suddenly understood a truth. Whether a marriage was happy or not, the key was who you married. Su Che and that scumbag were worlds apart, so she didn't know what she was hesitating about. I'll drive to the Banyan courtyard myself. Your arm needs to rest for the time being. Then be careful on the way. After I'm done here, I'll come over immediately. Su Che didn't force himself, because he knew that Xiaoyi would be worried. Xiaoyi nodded and helped Su Che put on his clothes. Then, she picked up her bag again and left the shop. When she walked out of the shop, she deliberately turned around to look at Emo and Nan, who was pressed to the ground. If he dared to hurt Su Che, she would find the best lawyer, and make Emo and Nan regret it for the rest of his life. Afraid that Su Che would cause a commotion when he arrived at the banquet, Xiaoyi immediately drove home to get clean clothes for Su Che. However, after entering the door, she felt her stomach churn. Just now, when she saw the blood, she felt faintly uncomfortable. Now, she was lying on the bathroom floor and vomiting. It had been like this for the past few days. After Xiaoyi finished vomiting, she looked up at herself in the mirror. A thought suddenly flashed through her mind. Maybe she had a child? Thinking of this possibility, Xiaoyi rushed out of the door and went straight to the nearby pharmacy to buy a pregnancy test. After returning home, she immediately opened the packaging and placed all the products she had bought from the pharmacy on the sink. There were 10 of them. A minute later, the pregnancy test gave her the answer. They were all 2 bright horizontal lines. Was she pregnant? At this moment, Xiaoyi's emotions were very complicated. Because she was obviously not prepared to welcome a new life, she couldn't even muster the courage to get married. But now she was actually pregnant. Did she hate this feeling? Actually, she didn't, so Xiaoyi subconsciously stroked her flat lower abdomen. It was in this place that she and Su Che had a child. It was with Su Che. Not long after, Su Che called to ask where Xiaoyi had gone. Xiaoyi immediately put away all the pregnancy tests and answered Su Che that she would go home and get clean clothes for him. She couldn't tell Su Che immediately because she knew that being pregnant meant getting married. But she wasn't ready yet. She needed to think about it carefully and let herself digest the news first. Chapter 1005. For the next few days, Xiaoyi didn't know how to speak to Su Che. Every time the words were on the tip of her tongue, she really wanted to say them, but she felt that it wasn't the best time. During the period when Su Che's arm was injured, he couldn't exert any strength at all in the first few days. Xiaoyi's heart ached when she saw this. At the same time, she felt that she was too selfish. In fact, Su Che could feel that Xiaoyi wanted to say something these few days, but she hesitated. He was very stubborn and didn't ask because he really wanted to hear Xiaoyi take the initiative to speak. However, even when his injury was healed, Xiaoyi still couldn't tell him the secret in her heart. Although he felt that he had used enough patience with Xiaoyi, sometimes, he would still be hurt by her unconscious actions. This state lasted for a week. A week later, Tang Yin personally called Sheng Xiao to borrow Su Che. There was a joint operation that needed Su Che's agile skills. For some reason, when he received this mission, Su Che heaved a sigh of relief. The unwillingness to face Xiaoyi every day was almost suffocating him. That night, Su Che went home to pack his luggage. When Xiaoyi saw this, she panicked. "You're leaving?" When Su Che saw Xiaoyi's nervous expression, the depression in his heart was relieved. "I have a mission. I have to go on a business trip for a few days." "How many days? Is it dangerous? When will you be back? You didn't even discuss it with me." Hearing her question, Su Che closed his suitcase and looked at Xiaoyi seriously. "It'll take about 4 days. It's a high-risk operation. If nothing unexpected happens, I should be back on Friday. Xiaoyi was even more flustered when she got the answer. Do you have to go? Su Che put down his suitcase and held Xiaoyi's hand. His tone was a little helpless. I know you have something you want to say to me, but you can't open your mouth. Sometimes, I wonder if I'm the closest person to you. Why can't you believe me wholeheartedly until now? And you're not willing to give your heart to me. I thought I wouldn't mind. I could continue to wait, but sometimes I realize I'm also a human, an ordinary man. When I received this mission, I don't know why, but I actually felt a little lucky because I couldn't continue to deceive myself. Xiaoyi, I'm not a blockhead. I can feel that my place in your heart isn't that important. I'll be gone for 4 days. You should think about it carefully. If you're sure that you can't give me your heart, I think we can choose another relationship. There's no need to force each other. After hearing Su Che's words, Xiaoyi was stunned. She even felt a little overwhelmed. She thought she had hidden it well, but in fact, that was not the case at all. Su Che, it's not like that. Can you not leave? Su Che shook his head. You can't see yourself clearly when I'm by your side. Besides, a life is at stake. Everyone is waiting for me. Take good care of yourself in the next few days. I believe you can do it. After that, Su Che squatted down and picked up the suitcase. Then, without waiting for Xiaoyi to continue, he quickly walked out of his house. He didn't want to say something that would hurt their relationship, but if he didn't say it now, his chest would explode. Therefore, they could take advantage of these 4 days to calm down. Xiaoyi watched helplessly as Su Che left. Tears immediately flowed out of her eyes. She didn't know why she still lacked courage even now. She was clearly no longer the same person she used to be. The day after Su Che left, Xiaoyi called Mu Qiqi. Now, only Mu Qiqi could untie the knot in her heart. The two of them agreed to meet at the branch office. Mu Qiqi knew that Xiaoyi hadn't slept all night. Did something happen with Su Che? Su Che said that I don't love him enough and asked me to calm down for a few days, Xiaoyi replied sickly. Actually, we've already discussed this matter in private. The conclusion is that you really don't love Su Che enough. First of all, you don't believe in him, so you're afraid of marriage. Second, you don't care about him enough. You're always immersed in whether others hurt you or not. So the conclusion is that you love yourself the most. At this moment, as a member of Su Che's family, Mu Qiqi was very straightforward. Love is a very special thing. You can tell with a glance whether the other party loves you or not. I don't know how long Su Che has endured it. Anyway, I rarely feel love for Su Che from you. Xiaoyi immediately fell into an even deeper panic. Qiqi, I've been hurt for many years. I really don't know how to love, and I don't know how to trust someone. But I know fear. When Su Che said that he was leaving, I was very afraid. I was afraid that he wouldn't come back. I was afraid that he would really give up on our relationship. You're right. I'm extremely selfish. I really deserve to die. Just look at your heart clearly. Isn't that fine? I believe that's why Su Che left. Mu Qiqi patted her shoulder to show encouragement. Think about it yourself. How far are you willing to go for Su Che? You have to know that the injury on his arm hasn't fully healed yet. Mu Qiqi deliberately scared Xiaoyi. After Xiaoyi heard this, her face turned pale. After returning home, Xiaoyi sat on the steps all day and looked around. Sometimes she cried bitterly, especially when she thought about how Su Che had been injured because of her, and had even gone out to carry out a high-risk mission. Her heart ached like needles. Just like that, 3 days passed. Su Che finally appeared at the door of his house with his luggage. Xiaoyi sat on the steps and immediately pounced on him when she saw him. In fact, when he was carrying out the mission, Su Che had already thought it through. Anyway, he had already waited for so long. So what if he continued to wait? But Xiaoyi's actions made him ecstatic. You're finally back, Sob. I'm fine. Su Che quickly held her up. How many days have you not rested well? Why are you in such a sorry state? After you left, I regretted not telling you earlier. I was afraid that after you came back, you'd think it through and think that I was too selfish and want to break up with me. I thought about what to do every day and couldn't sleep at all. Xiaoyi cried out. After hearing Xiaoyi's aggrieved tone, Su Che was satisfied. This person actually had love in her heart, but she didn't know the depth of it. It's not good for the neighbors to see it at the gate. I'm also very tired. Can we go home first? Su Che was a little helpless. Wait for me to finish my last sentence. Xiaoyi raised her tearful eyes and looked at Su Che seriously. You're going to be a father. Also, I won't hide anything from you anymore. Su Che hugged Xiaoyi and held her face in disbelief. Is what you said true? Chapter 1006. Of course it's true. I was hesitant for the past few days, because I didn't know how to tell you. I was afraid that you would immediately take me to register for marriage. I wasn't ready yet. But I thought about it a lot these past few days. I think I was too selfish. After hearing Xiao Yi's words, Su Che carried her horizontally and quickly walked home. Since you know you're pregnant, why don't you take good care of yourself? I've been scared for a few days. Xiaoyi hugged Su Che's neck, her tone also very aggrieved. Su Che sighed, suddenly regretting his decision to go out and calm down. If something really happened to Xiao Yi and the child because of this, he would never forgive himself for the rest of his life. I actually didn't want to break up with you. It's my fault for saying those words out of anger. Su Che gently placed Xiao Yi on the sofa and squatted in front of her. In the future, no matter how angry I am, I will never say such outrageous words to you. No, it's not like that. It's my fault. It's my fault for not caring about you enough. Xiaoyi said guiltily. You're right, and so is Chi-Chi. If you really love someone, you can even give him your life. Why would you be afraid of marrying him? When you were by my side, I didn't know how to cherish you. But after you left, I realized how scared I was. Since we're all wrong, let's turn the page, okay? Now that I'm back, I'll never leave you again. I won't turn the page. I want to keep this fear in my heart, because only then can I remember the horror of losing you. And only then can I cherish the time I spent with you. Xiao Yi answered seriously. Su Che didn't know what to do with her, so he turned around and went out to get his luggage. During the entire process, Xiao Yi's gaze was on Su Che, as if he was going to leave at any moment. Have you been to the hospital since you found out you were pregnant? Su Che returned to her side after putting away his luggage. Xiao Yi shook her head. After you left, I didn't go anywhere other than Chi-Chi's place. Su Che sighed slightly. Then, he took out his phone and asked for Song Qiaoji's number. Xiao Yi had been in such a sorry state for the past few days. He didn't know if her depressed mood would affect her body. Go up and change. I'll take you to the hospital for a checkup. But we haven't registered yet. Will we be laughed at? Xiao Yi covered her face and asked. Do you need to show your marriage certificate to the hospital? Su Che urged her. Go. In fact, Song Qiaoji, who received Su Che's call, was also quite shocked. When she heard that there was a problem with his relationship with Xiao Yi, Song Qiaoji thought that the two of them might end up going their separate ways. She didn't expect Su Che to suddenly call her to ask for her number. She was an obstetrician. The only explanation was that Xiao Yi was pregnant. An hour later, the two of them appeared at Jianchuan Hospital hand in hand. Seeing their loving expressions, Song Qiaoji understood that Xiao Yi was definitely pregnant. Then Song Qiaoji performed a full-body checkup on Xiao Yi. According to the report, everything is normal at the moment. The fetus is 53 days old, and it's still considered healthy. However, because it was an accident, all the nutrients that should be replenished have to be replenished. Xiao Yi will have to do more screening in the future. After hearing Song Qiaoji's words, Su Che was finally relieved. Then do I need to have any ideas? You don't smoke or drink. Live a healthy daily life and work and rest regularly. You just need to maintain this state. As for the rest, it's just that Xiao Yi is working hard. As a father-to-be, you have to be more considerate, Song Qiaoji instructed. When you're free, read more books about this. There's a lot of them online. All right. Su Che scratched his nose excitedly. Oh right, there's one more thing. We can't delay it anymore. Hurry up and register our marriage, Song Qiaoji reminded the two of them. Chapter 1007. Since she already had a child in her stomach, she naturally had to plan for marriage. However, because Xiao Yi was afraid of marriage, Su Che didn't force her to respond now. He only confirmed the health of the child in Xiao Yi's stomach before bringing her home. After returning home, Xiao Yi hugged Su Che from behind. Her mouth was still filled with resentment. "I'm really not a good girlfriend. I'm injured. If you continue hugging me, the wound will open again." Su Che interrupted her nagging. After Xiao Yi heard this, she quickly let go. Then, she pulled off his clothes and carefully examined his body. She found that there was gauze on his waist and abdomen. Her eyes immediately turned red. "I didn't do it on purpose. I don't blame you, so don't cry." Su Che put on his clothes and placed Xiao Yi on the sofa. "I don't know anything now, so I have to call Big Brother and ask sister-in-law to come over. After all, she has experience." Xiao Yi felt very wronged, but she didn't continue to pester Su Che. She even felt that she was really annoying and a little cheap. Previously, Su Che had treated her so well, but she didn't know how to cherish him. Now, she only knew how to stare at him and knew that she cared. It was all her fault. "Can you call Big Brother and sister-in-law tomorrow? Stay with me like this tonight?" When Su Che heard this pitiful plea, he immediately stopped dialing. He sat back down beside her and hugged her. "Now you know how important I am. Yes, these few days, the feeling of worrying about gains and losses is too uncomfortable. I finally know why you were angry before. It was my fault. Perhaps it was because a pregnant woman's temper had become more sensitive. So no matter how hard Su Che tried to persuade her, he couldn't. He had thought that Xiao Yi would improve in a few days, but after a week, Xiao Yi had become more and more clingy. Friday was a day for a group of people to gather. This was initiated by Muqiqi. Her intention was to let friends put down their identities and estrangement and be able to communicate as equals. When she heard that Xiao Yi was pregnant, Muqiqi clamored to see the pregnant woman. This was because she had heard that Xiao Yi had been dying for Su Che during this period of time. Muqiqi also wanted to see how obsessed she was. From the moment the two of them entered the door, Muqiqi saw their hands held together, their fingers tightly interlocked. Xiao Yi's gaze at Su Che was finally filled with admiration and obsession. This was the most direct evidence that one person liked another. Then, the man and the woman sat in two different areas. However, Xiao Yi felt uneasy about being separated from Su Che. Even when she was with Muqiqi and the others, her eyes were always looking in the man's direction. "Now you know that Su Che is fine." Muqiqi couldn't help but laugh at her. "You used to be so carefree. You can't bear to leave for just a while." "Yes, I didn't know Su Che was so charming before," Xiao Yi admitted generously in front of the women. "I admit that I was blind in the past. Now that you know your true feelings, why don't you marry Su Che?" "Su, I marry him." Muqiqi was and said. "Xiao Che of Muche. Ah, I came here today for a very important matter. I want to ask you all, what should I do if I want to propose to Su Che?" Muqiqi glanced at Lu Qianqian. The two of them seemed to understand Xiao Yi's coolness. Muqiqi glanced at Lu Qianqian. The two of them seemed to have immediately understood Xiao Yi's coolness. "Are you going to propose to Su Che?" "He's proposing to me. Do I need to ask you?" "He's proposing to me. Do I need to ask you?" Xiao Yi frowned and looked at the two of them. "You know that I'm pregnant now and haven't experienced this. I just want to know, what can I do to make Su Che believe that I've really fallen in love with him?" Chapter 1008. Do whatever you want to do for him. Loving someone means that you want to give him the best things from the bottom of your heart. Over time, he will believe it without a doubt. Muqiqi was very experienced in this matter. "Then I want to give him a surprise. Can you help me?" Xiao Yi winked at the two of them. "No problem." Muqiqi made an okay gesture, and Lu Qianqian nodded vigorously. Fortunately, Su Che still had to work. Otherwise, she really didn't know where to find an opportunity. "As long as the time is right, give us a call." Muqiqi was very excited. The people around her got married in a muddle. None of them proposed seriously. Now that someone was proposing, of course she had to watch the show. "Then I'll get ready when I go back tonight." Xiao Yi listened to the two sisters' words and looked at Muqiqi's earlobe. In fact, she had always been very curious as to why Muchichi had tattooed English on her earlobe. Is there any special story behind this? Xiaoyi pointed at Muchichi's ear and asked. This? Muchichi tilted her ear to show Xiaoyi. It's my man's English name. When I was young, I didn't know any better. You'd better not say such things. Do you still remember why you were taught a lesson last time? Lu Qianqian quickly reminded her. Muchichi quickly covered her mouth and looked around to make sure that Sheng Xiao was not nearby. Only then did she dare to continue. I was indeed immature. Now that I think about it, I think it was very childish. Lu Qianqian was no longer interested in her way of showing off their affection, so she directly cut her off. Xiaoyi was very touched. You must have been very infatuated with CEO Sheng in the past. Actually, what Muchichi wanted to say was that she was also very infatuated with him now, okay? Although she would verbally despise him, she still loved him in her heart. Ahem, the focus now is on you guys. Look at us couples. We're either married or have children. You guys are the only ones who haven't registered yet. I'll plan it when I get back tonight. Xiaoyi also made an okay gesture. How much courage did it take for a woman to subvert tradition and propose to a man? Xiaoyi didn't know, but she just wanted to do it. Su Che had done enough for her. This time, it was her turn to take the initiative. Su Che didn't know why, but ever since he came back from the party that day, Xiaoyi had stopped sticking to him. He didn't know if it was because of Muchichi's persuasion. She seemed to have returned to her former self. Although Su Che faintly felt that it was a pity, he needed Xiaoyi to establish a sense of security. However, gradually, Su Che felt that something was wrong. In the past few days, Xiaoyi had started to ignore him again. She was even very impatient. Could it be because she was pregnant? Because of this, Su Che didn't dare to mention marriage, because he was afraid that he would scare Xiaoyi away again. Muchichi had seen Su Che a few times during this period, and found that he was listless. She couldn't go forward to dissuade him, because Xiaoyi was preparing a surprise for him behind his back. Other people would propose at night, because it was romantic, but Xiaoyi's plan was in the morning, because she had prepared 2 wedding rings and a groom's outfit for Su Che. She wanted to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to register with Su Che after the proposal. If he proposed at night, Su Che could still set it up at work during the day. But if he proposed in the morning, how could he prepare it? This made Muchichi in a difficult position. She just wanted to knock Su Che out with a stick and wake him up in the morning. In the end, Muchichi handed this difficult task to Tang Yen. She asked Chief Tang to call Su Che out to do something as long as it wasn't a dangerous task. She also asked Master Xiao to cooperate. Su Che was confused. Tang Yen sent him to City B for one night. As he was worried about leaving Xiaoyi alone at home, he called his sister-in-law to accompany him. Xiaoyi took the wedding ring that she had ordered, the dress that she had made, and the roses that had been flown in. She gathered all her good friends. Tomorrow morning, she was going to complete the most important thing in her life. Chapter 1009. Su Che was inexplicably busy for the whole night. Tang Yin had asked him to come to J City to follow a suspect, but he didn't think that the suspect was an extremely evil person. An ordinary police force could do it. Most importantly, after daybreak, Tang Yin asked him to hand over the mission to someone else. There were no further instructions, so he could go home directly. Su Che didn't close his eyes. After all, there was a pregnant woman at home. So he rode his motorcycle back to Jianchuan without stopping. After the motorcycle entered the villa, Su Che didn't see any changes in the house, because his thoughts were all on the pregnant woman. He was afraid that Xiaoyi would be angry if he didn't go home for the whole night. Or rather, he didn't care at all. After parking the motorcycle, Su Che smiled self-deprecatingly. He was clearly going to be a father soon, but he was still so careful. It seemed that he had to find a time to have a good talk with Xiaoyi. After thinking it through, Su Che opened the door and entered the living room. However, the moment he pushed the door open, other than being shocked, he also suspected that he had gone to the wrong place. So he subconsciously went out, confirmed the house number, and came in again. Because the entire living room was immersed in a sea of white and red roses, champagne, candles, balloons, and streamers. There was also a red arrow sign at the stairs. Su-che slowed down and slowly walked toward the bedroom on the second floor. However, he found that there was a sentence written on the bedroom door. If you've thought it through, push the door open and come in. Why would Su-che need to think about it? He reached out and opened the door. After the door opened, the first thing that entered his eyes was the groom's dress hanging in front of the window sill. Then, he saw the heart-shaped pattern of candles on the ground. At this moment, Su-che's emotions were very complicated. Although he had a guess in his heart, he didn't dare to believe it. He was afraid that he would overthink things. But this was his and Xiao Yi's house. If these weren't prepared for him, who were they for? However, Xiao Yi didn't say that it was for him, so he didn't have the confidence to believe it. Su-che slowly walked to the gown and reached out his hand. But just as he was about to touch the material, Xiao Yi's voice suddenly came from behind him. Does the gown look good? Su-che turned around and saw Xiao Yi standing in front of him in a white veil. It was a simple white veil, but it gave him a solemn feeling. I know you're very sleepy right now, and I know you want to rest. But can you please change into a formal dress and register our marriage? After hearing Xiao Yi's words, Su-che felt as if he was in a dream. Everything in front of him was so unreal. So, he lowered his head and tried his best to believe everything in front of him. Su-che. Su-che raised his head again, still in disbelief. He asked, so you've been ignoring me all this time just to prepare this? You and I are too close. How can I hide it from you? Xiao Yi explained very seriously. I thought. Do you think I'm still the same as before, that I don't know how to cherish you? It's not like that. I just want to propose to you. I want you to be my husband. I want you to stay by my side forever. Xiao Yi quickly hugged Su-che and explained. I just wanted to give you a surprise. I didn't mean to alienate you. After Su-che heard this, all the anxiety and fear from before were firmly settled in his heart. Do you want to marry me? After saying that, Xiao Yi broke free from his embrace and took out the wedding ring she had prepared from the bedside cabinet. She prepared to kneel on one knee for Su-che. Chapter 10:10. However, Su-che directly reached out and stopped her. Enough. It's enough. I'll promise you. Besides, I should have been the one to do this. I didn't expect you to do this for me. I'm already very. Xiao Yi grabbed Su-che's arm, her eyes so sincere that they were almost pious. She interrupted Su-che firmly. No, let me finish. I've never been a good girlfriend. I've always been self-centered, selfish, and don't care about your feelings. I can't even talk about understanding you or taking care of you. The reason why I'm afraid of marriage isn't because I don't trust you, but because I don't trust myself. I'm afraid that I won't be able to play the role of a wife. I don't have confidence in myself. But Chi-Chi said that if you really love someone, you'll be willing to do anything for them. You'll be willing to give up anything. So I closed my eyes and listened to the voice in my heart. This voice told me that I care about you very much, but I don't know how to express it. My parents' love didn't teach me how to love, but it taught me to escape and be timid. And that previous relationship only taught me how to hate. I don't know anything. I don't know how to express it, nor do I know how to tell you that I love you very much. I want to do something for you. I want to make you happy, and I want you to know how much I need you. Xiao Yi, who had opened her heart, mustered up all her courage, and told Su-che everything that had been on her mind during this period of time. Because Mu Chi-Chi had taught her that if she loved someone, she had to express it, no matter what method she used. Su-che listened seriously, and suddenly pulled her into his arms. I feel it. I've already felt your love. Of course, I'm willing to be your groom. Why wouldn't I be willing? When Xiao Yi heard the answer, tears welled up in her eyes. Then let's get married now, okay? Su-che let go of Xiao Yi's delicate body and cupped her cheek instead. He gently kissed away the tears at the corner of her eyes. Then wait for me for a moment, because I have to change my clothes first. I'll help you. No. Su-che shook his head. If you help me, we might not be able to leave the house today. Xiao Yi understood Su-che's hint in an instant, and her face immediately turned hot. Then I'll wait for you outside the door. Okay. Su-che nodded. Xiaoyi took the wedding ring and brocade box and walked out of the bedroom, leaving Su Che alone in the bedroom. In order to make himself look more energetic, Su Che first went to the bathroom to shave and tidy up his appearance. Perhaps it was because he was about to get married, but his exhaustion from last night was swept away, and he became much more energetic. Su Che did not expect that he would be the one being proposed to. That was enough for him to brag about in front of Sheng Xiao and the others for the rest of his life. It was also at that moment that he could feel very strongly that he was being loved, and that he wasn't just paying one-sidedly. After being together for so many years, he had finally entered the role of partner, husband and father. This feeling was so damn wonderful. 10 minutes later, Su Che changed into a fitting white suit and opened the bedroom door. By then, Mu Chi-Chi and the others were waiting impatiently downstairs. She carried little Chi and looked upstairs from time to time, as if she was looking at a bride. When Lu Qianqian saw this, she quickly tugged at her and said, "You look like your own son is getting married." Chapter 10-11. After hearing Lu Qianqian's words, Mu Chi-Chi secretly glanced at the elegant man behind her. If the little girl in her arms really got married, the person sitting here would definitely be that stinky man, Master Xiao. Mu Chi-Chi could not help but feel a little sad when she thought that her daughter would leave her one day. "Mommy, you're strangling me to death." Little Chi was a little dissatisfied with Mu Chi-Chi's strength and slid down from her leg. Mu Chi-Chi immediately wiped her eyes and said in a low voice, "Mommy is imagining you getting married, so I can't help but feel sad. In the future, you will leave Mommy." "After I marry Daddy, will I leave Mommy?" Little Chi looked at Mu Chi-Chi innocently and asked. When Mu Chi-Chi heard this, she immediately put away her sadness. "Daddy is Mommy's. It's Little Chi's," the little girl argued. "It's mine. Mine." The mother and daughter began a new round of snatching war. At this time, Master Xiao would not let the mother and daughter implicate him, so he consciously dodged to the side. When Mu Chi-Chi saw her man hiding to the side, she snorted. "He men." Then she said to her daughter, "I don't want it anymore. I'll give it to you. I'll go out and look for little brother tonight. Stop fooling around. Su Che is coming out." Lu Qianqian quickly held little Chi in her arms and watched as the two main characters of the day appeared. Xiaoyi watched as Su Che walked down the stairs step by step and quickly reached out her hand to him. Su Che walked toward his bride and placed her palm in the crook of his arm. "Let's go. Let's get married now." Xiaoyi looked at her friends in the living room and suddenly felt a little embarrassed. She had been very brave when she proposed just now, but now that the proposal had been successful, she had become a little shy. Su Che had thought that Xiao Yi would only prepare a gown and a ring today, but the wedding car and the wedding house were all there. "We won't be following you to register the marriage. We'll decorate the new house for you here. When you come back, all of us will celebrate for you," Mu Chi-Chi said to the newlyweds. "Go. Chief Tang enslaved you last night, so today, in order to apologize, he specially arranged a special window for you. You can go in and go through the formalities." Su Che wanted to express his gratitude, but he felt that it was too light. Therefore, he didn't say anything and remembered everything that happened today. Then he and Xiaoyi got into the wedding car together. Today, Lin Mu and had made time to personally be Su Che's driver. "Out of all of us, you're still the most capable. You're actually the one who was proposed to. As a brother, I don't have any other gifts to give you, so I'll send you guys to heaven of happiness." With that, Lin Mu started the Rolls-Royce limousine. Su Che looked at Xiaoyi beside him and suddenly felt that this was like a dream. "Shouldn't we tell Big Brother about our marriage?" Big Brother is already waiting at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau, along with that little Litten. After hearing Xiao Yi's words, Su Che's heart surged. "I want to ask, other than me, does everyone else know about this?" "Of course. Otherwise, how can we cooperate?" "Su Che, let me tell you, everyone here is my family, including your elder brother and sister-in-law. In the future, if you bully me and don't love me, they will avenge me." After Xiaoyi finished speaking, she lowered her head and stroked her lower abdomen. "And this one in my stomach will also protest. At this moment, Su Che finally understood what true happiness was. His family, friends, and lover were all by his side. They would never leave him. This was the greatest happiness. Chapter 10-12. It had been a long time since the staff of the Civil Affairs Bureau had seen newlyweds register in formal attire. And it was such a handsome man and beautiful woman. From their eyes, it could be seen that this newlyweds could last for a long time, because they had light in each other's eyes. The procedures were completed very quickly. Thanks to Tang Yen, the two of them didn't have to wait after they arrived. They finally obtained the legally protected marriage certificate. Su Che snatched the one that belonged to Xiao Yi and held it in his hand. I haven't seen it clearly yet, Xiao Yi mumbled. What are you doing? That's mine. I'll take care of them. What if you run away one day? If you run away one day, I can still arrest you. After hearing this, Xiao Yi knew that Su Che was still occasionally sensitive, so she didn't insist. She only said to Su Che, Congratulations, Mr. Su. You have a wife and child now. Congratulations to you too, Mrs. Su. Not only do you have a husband, but you also have a family. The two of them walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau with the marriage certificate. At this moment, Brother Su was waiting at the door. He looked at the couple and said with great difficulty, From now on, live a good life. Don't torture each other anymore, understand? The couple nodded nonstop. Yeah, there's finally someone to play games with me in the future. Little Litten, who was in Brother Su's arms, jumped up happily. I'm going to tell little Fatty that the lady boss of the dessert shop is my aunt. I'm going to make him drool every day if he can't eat dessert. So ruthless. Xiao Yi couldn't help but laugh. Who asked him to always bully me? Little Litten pulled Xiao Yi's hand and spun around. All right, since you've already registered, let's go back now. Everyone is still waiting to celebrate for you. Lin Muan, the driver, quickly honked the car horn to remind them. Wait a moment. Enjoy the surprise that everyone has prepared for you. Seeing Lin Muan's mysterious gaze, Xiao Yi suddenly had an ominous premonition. She felt that the people at home wouldn't let Su Che off so easily. Soon, they returned to the villa. Mu Qiqi and the others had already prepared an open-air wedding banquet. Of course, the originally empty garden had now turned into a veritable wedding party. Pastries, red wine, barbecue, and music. When Mu Qiqi saw the newcomer, she quickly said, Hurry up and change. I'm telling you, Su Che, you're doomed today. Su Che stared blankly at Mu Qiqi, only to see her suddenly take out the program list. It listed all the performances that the newcomers had to perform. The scale was so large that Xiao Yi's face turned red when she saw it. Qiqi, I'm pregnant. I don't need you to do anything. I just need you to answer my questions. You're pregnant, so you don't have to move, but your husband isn't. Mu Qiqi was full of anticipation. She had been looking forward to this day for a long time. He could properly interrogate Su Che about what was wrong, and why he had taken a fancy to Xiao Yi, this weirdo. But the scale is too big. Xiao Yi couldn't help but cover her face when she saw the question page. What first time? How long did the first time last? These were not appropriate for children, okay? Don't worry. Little Qi and the Tang family's Xiaobao will go to school after lunch. Other than the one in your stomach, there won't be another one. If you have the ability, you guys can join in too. If you want to play, let's play it big, Xiao Yi suggested, unconvinced. She didn't want to be watched like a monkey. We're an old couple. How can we still remember these things? Mu Qiqi looked at Sheng Xiao and asked, Right? Master Xiao. I remember. Sheng Xiao suddenly gave Mu Qiqi an answer, which almost made Mu Qiqi bite her tongue. Chapter 10-13. We can't steal the limelight from the newcomers. Can't we talk about these things behind closed doors? Mu Qiqi stared at Sheng Xiao seriously and asked. It's fine to play. It's fine, my ass. It's fine. Mu Qiqi glared at him. We're going to mess with the newcomers now. After saying that, Mu Qiqi grabbed Sheng Xiao, and the couple went somewhere to discuss. Xiao Yi heaved a sigh of relief, and quickly gestured for Su Che to quickly hide the program list. If this group of people really made a scene, it would be a mess. However, This scene was seen by the sharp-eyed Feng Shanshan. Accept your fate today. The program won't be able to escape. Xiaoyi looked at Su Che with a bitter face. It seemed that she would not be able to escape this calamity. In the guest room of the villa, Mu Qiqi was pressed against the wall by Sheng Xiao. I think I need to remind you of what happened the first time. I was just joking. How could I forget? Mu Qiqi quickly coaxed the angry man. Really? Sheng Xiao dangerously lifted her skirt. You didn't forget? Mu Qiqi was alarmed and quickly waved her hand. How could I forget? Master Xiao, let's continue tonight. It's not very convenient to be at Su Che's house now, right? However, Sheng Xiao did not give Mu Qiqi the chance or time to resist. I think it's very convenient. Mu Qiqi was speechless. Of course, the couple disappeared for almost an hour. During this hour, Mu Qiqi was afraid that someone would look for her and bump into her and Sheng Xiao in someone else's house, loving to their heart's content. It was precisely because she had to be vigilant at all times that Mu Qiqi felt very excited this time. An hour later, the couple returned to the garden. Feng Shanshan knew what had happened when she saw Mu Qiqi's expression. She was already used to it, so she couldn't be bothered to look for her. If she were to ruin Sheng Zhao's plans, she didn't know what kind of trouble she would get into. You guys can also. I'm impressed at someone else's wedding. Ahem. Mu Qiqi quickly covered up her embarrassment. Can you not discuss this kind of thing in public? I'm a victim too. But all our programs have passed. You have nothing to play with. Feng Shanshan handed the program list to Mu Qiqi. Come earlier next time. Mu Qiqi looked at the program list and wanted to cry. Are you doing this on purpose? The way Su Che put on his lipstick just now was too funny. It's a pity some people didn't see it. Mu Qiqi was about to go crazy. She had worked so hard to come up with the program list. These people had no conscience at all. It wasn't easy for them to get married. Stop messing around and let them consummate their marriage. Mu Qiqi's eyelids rolled to the sky. However, she could not let Su Che and Xiaoyi do it again. She could only give up. It was all Master Zhao's fault. Of all times to be in heat, he had to choose this time. In the bridal room, only Su Che, who was covered in lip marks, and Xiaoyi, who was wearing a white veil, were left. Just take it off and change into your usual clothes. Xiaoyi saw that she couldn't wipe it clean, so she took out her home clothes from the closet. However, at this moment, she was hugged by Su Che from behind. It's finally quiet. I've always wanted to be like this, to be alone with you. They are also blessing us, Xiaoyi said with a smile. I don't care. Anyway, don't go out. You're pregnant and need to rest. But I'm pregnant. I can't that. Xiaoyi reminded him with a red face. I'm sorry. It looks like our wedding night is going to be ruined. After 3 months, I will definitely get back at you with double the amount. Chapter 10:14. Her name was Sheng Qingwan, and she was known as Little Qi. She didn't know who gave her her name, so every time her teacher punished her, she would make her write her name 100 times. Too much. She had asked her mother about it, but usually at times like this, her mother would take out a scalpel and look at her coldly. You want to change your name? Give up. Little Qi had no choice but to give up, because other than her name, she really wanted to thank herself for being born in such a family atmosphere. Don't misunderstand, it's not because they have an unlimited amount of money, but because other parents want their children to become dragons and phoenixes. But her parents are different. During school, they take her to travel, and during holidays, they never allow her to bring homework home. According to Mu Qiqi, playing was the most basic respect for childhood. Alright, the result of this was that her grades never fell out of the bottom 3. Of course, it was not because she was stupid, but because she felt that if her grades were good, it would put too much pressure on other children. Look, the little daughter of the Sheng family was good at everything, and her grades were top-notch. A life that was too outstanding had to have some flaws, right? Oh right, I forgot to mention that little Qi was 11 years old, and had just entered the first year of junior high. As the richest child in Jianchuan, little Qi had never known what kind of trouble poverty was. But what was strange was that she actually went to the most ordinary middle school in Jianchuan. Once again, according to Muqiqi's words, children who love to learn can get first place in the mountains. Children who don't love to learn can get last place in Oxford Primary School. Little Chi deeply agreed. She felt that her mother was too great. Why did Muqiqi spoil her so much? It was because when she was 9 years old, she had a serious illness. That time, she scared Muqiqi so much that she couldn't sleep for a few days. From then on, she only cared about being lawless. The whole family only wanted her to be healthy and happy. Memories were a long story. It was another day when the results were announced after school. Little Chi's Chinese was once again ranked last. In this part, she had inherited Muqiqi's good genes. She couldn't even write a sentence when she wrote a composition, and she could easily pass math. Sheng Qingwan, with your writing level, no one will care about you when you write love letters in the future. The whole class laughed, but Little Chi didn't care. Do I need to write love letters? The teacher snorted. So what if you're rich? No, teacher. I'm as beautiful as a flower and as beautiful as the moon. The whole class roared with laughter again. Write your name 100 times as punishment. Little Chi sighed. Sigh. I'll go home immediately and apply to change my name to Sheng Yi. If you continue to be mischievous, I'll call your parents. The teacher threatened. Usually this was very threatening, but Little Chi only said regretfully, Teacher, don't just talk and do nothing every time. My mother has been looking forward to it for a long time. The teacher. What a weird parent. What a weird child. Of course, the teacher knew Muqiqi very well. For the students in the class, Little Chi was a very strange existence. As the richest teenager in Jianchuan, she did not have the arrogance of a rich person at all. She could get along with anyone. Her name sounded like that of a socialite and virtuous lady. However, her actions caused people to be disillusioned. What she meant was that she didn't have any musical, chess, calligraphy, or painting skills. Furthermore, her results weren't good, and she was mischievous. In the eyes of teachers, she was the most troublesome child. However, she didn't make any big mistakes. She seemed to be very naughty. There's a transfer student in class tomorrow. She'll sit with you. Be nice to her. The teacher couldn't do anything about her, and could only glare at her. Chapter 10:15. When had she ever been bad to others? Little Chi pursed her lips. However, that night, when Muqiqi returned home, she saw her daughter frowning and studying hard under the night light. Didn't I say that I'm not allowed to do homework at home? I'm punished to write my name. Little Chi did it on purpose. She wanted these parents to feel guilty. Giving her such a complicated name was really a headache. Muqiqi crossed her arms and looked at it for a long time. Finally she said, If you didn't punish me to write, I wouldn't have known that your name was Qing. Was this her biological mother? Little Chi almost fainted. Your dad is coming back soon. Put away your homework. Muqiqi heard movement downstairs and quickly reminded Little Chi. Why don't you let my dad see it? Your handwriting is too ugly. I'm afraid you'll be scolded. Thank you, my dear mother. Little Chi looked at Muqiqi resentfully and lay on the table again, waiting for her father to come to the study. However, Master Xiao had no intention of entering at all. That was because he could guess with his toes that some people were writing their names again. The mother and daughter were a pair of living treasures. When they had nothing to do, they would sing a two-man show for him. Little Chi really couldn't continue writing, so she picked up her textbook and went to Master Zhao's office. She looked aggrieved and pitiful. Dad, can you change my name? Master Xiao sat in front of the computer and tilted his head to look at his daughter. Is this about changing your name? At least let the teacher change it. Why don't I just change your teacher? Master Xiao smiled mockingly. After hearing Master Zhao's words, Little Chi immediately waved her hand. No need, no need. Dad, you're too lethal. Then, do I still change my name? Master Xiao was completely calm in the face of danger. His every move had the charm of a mature man, exuding nobility and elegance. Every day, his mother was infatuated with him. Just thinking about it gave Little Chi goosebumps. How boring. It was not that Master Xiao did not love his daughter, But this was the name given by old Master Shin. They had to respect and remember it. Little Chi took her textbook and came out of her father's office. In any case, no matter what tricks she played, her father would see through them. She did not know how there could be such a smart person in the world. The resentful little Chi could only hang herself and stay up late to finish her punishment. There was no justice in bullying a middle school student. She wrote until midnight. Little Chi had long forgotten about the transfer student. When she was in class the next day, she was surprised to find that there was someone lying next to her seat. To be more specific, it was a boy. Wan, come here. The classmate next to her waved at her. He's so fierce. He starts fighting the moment he comes. You have to be careful not to get bullied by him. After little Chi heard this, she suddenly became interested because she had never experienced what it was like to be bullied since she was young. What's his name? I heard that his name is Hyenji. His family was originally quite rich, but after a car accident 4 of them died, leaving him and his grandmother to depend on each other. The female classmate with the whip was enthusiastically gossiping with Xiao Xiao. But he's really handsome. Was he handsome? Little Chi was a little curious, but she was not that curious. After all, there were a lot of handsome people in her family. Even Tang Xiaobao looked like a dog. She really did not believe in her classmates' aesthetics. Therefore, after class, little Chi rested her chin on her hand and looked at him. However, what made her anxious was that he did not raise his head the whole time. How could she take care of him like this? Chapter 10:16. This situation lasted for a total of 3 days. Every day, Hyenji came the earliest, but he always slept. Legend had it that in every class, there was a sleeping god, but his grades were top-notch. Was he like that? Although he didn't look like one. Little Chi was full of curiosity about him, so she made a bold decision. At 5 o'clock in the morning, she wrapped herself up like a bear and rode her bike to school. It was not easy for her to see a handsome guy. At 6 o'clock in the morning, Hyenji entered the school on time. Seeing that there was already someone next to him, he subconsciously frowned to express his displeasure. He knew who it was. It should be said that in all of Jianchuan, there was no one who didn't know her. She was born in a rich family and had lived a luxurious life since she was young. Every day, she wore an innocent face and could chat with anyone she met. He didn't like the young lady at all. Therefore, after entering the classroom, he loosened his bow tie as usual and lay on the table, ready to sleep. However, the young lady poked his back with a pen. What? Hyenji turned his head and said in an unhappy tone. Are you looking for a beating? Little Chi successfully saw a handsome face with distinct facial features. He was really handsome, and he was different from her father's and Uncle Tang's. However, his tone was not friendly, and it was obvious that he had a bad temper. I want to take a look at you, Hyenji said. What's wrong with you? He was fierce and not someone to be trifled with. You can't sleep like this for the whole semester, can you? Little Chi looked at his posture. It had been 4 days since he transferred to this school, and he hadn't changed. What? You want to control me? TSK. His tone was still frivolous. What I want to say is that by the end of the semester, you might be half paralyzed. Hyenji, if you keep messing around, I'll beat you up. If a little girl wants to fall in love, find someone else. I can't afford to wait on you. After saying that, Hyenji leaned on the table and continued his big dream. Being so handsome indeed makes one fall in love with him. Little Chi thought to herself, her father must have been such a famous person back then, right? Moreover, it was said that her father's temper was also very bad back then. Little Chi put away her curiosity and was about to go to the cafeteria to ask for a bun. However, when she got up, she saw a little square thing at Hyenji's feet. She squatted down and picked it up to take a look. Her face immediately turned red. Then, she threw the thing at Hyenji's head. To do this kind of thing so early, he really wasn't a good person. Hyenji was amazed that someone had thrown something at him. He raised his head impatiently and looked at Little Chi. You really deserve a beating. Little Chi looked at him hatefully, but she couldn't help blushing. Hyenji looked down at the thing on the table and immediately grabbed Little Chi's hand. The corners of his mouth curled up wantonly. Is that why your face is so red? Natural reaction. Little Chi coughed lightly. What are girls thinking these days? Yinji tore open the square object in front of Little Chi and saw that it was not a rubber object, but a wet tissue. It was just that many restaurants nowadays dared to print any kind of paper towel packaging for the sake of gimmicks. He just conveniently took one for a meal. See, Little Chi rolled her eyes and struggled free from his hold. A rich young lady like you wouldn't even know that there's such a thing in the world. After saying that, Yinji threw away the wrapping paper in his hand, lay on the table, and continued to sleep. This deskmate was really not easy to get along with. However, a few days later, the exam results came out. He was actually the legendary God of Sleep. Full marks in all subjects. Moreover, what does it have to do with others whether she likes to study or not? Most importantly, when did she say that she didn't like Yinji? It was fine if it was others, but this student member had reported her to the teacher several times. How could she let it go? Why don't I ask him for you? Little Chi tentatively asked the study commissary and poked her deskmate. Yinji was sleepy. He turned his head and looked at Little Chi. Do you want to die? The study commissary wants to sit with you. Go to hell. With that, Yinji buried his head and continued to sleep. Little Chi shrugged, indicating that there was nothing she could do. When the sweet-looking study commissary saw this, she snorted unhappily. You can't afford it even if you're rich? That's impressive, Little Chi retorted. My dad is Sheng Xiao. Who is your dad? The other party immediately stopped talking and returned to her seat. Chapter 10:18. Can you solve your own problems in the future? Little Chi looked angrily at the God of Sleep beside her. I'm not your manager. Which manager wants to be like you? An artist doesn't even need to debut. She hides herself. Yinji, who was lying on the table, didn't even open his eyes. However, he didn't forget to be mean. Besides, in the eyes of others, the person who has the best relationship with me in the whole school is you. Who do you think they'll look for if not you? Little Chi pointed at her nose and was speechless for a moment. Then shouldn't you treat me better? Hearing this, Yinji turned his head and looked at Little Chi with interest. How should I treat you better? Take you to experience adult games in advance? Have you experienced it? Little Chi didn't answer but asked instead. Her eyes were bright, and no one could tell that she was shy at all. As a girl, you ask too many questions. After saying that, Yinji continued to cover his head. Boring. Little Chi snorted lightly and continued to bury her head in copying the answers with difficulty. After all, she still had to hand in her homework. However, she didn't know that ever since Yinji arrived at school, he would never speak more than 3 sentences to the teacher. However, he would never stop chattering with her. In her opinion, this was the interaction that deskmates should have. But in the eyes of others, she was special. Not only was her identity special, but she was even more special in Yinji's eyes. Special my foot. Moreover, before Yinji came, the entire class was very harmonious. Everyone helped each other and loved each other. There was no need to mention how united they were. However, ever since Yinji came, the girls of the entire grade were restless. No, it was the entire school. Was she crazy? Little Chi felt that she shouldn't change her seat, but transfer to another school. Yinji didn't notice Little Chi's thoughts and continued to do whatever he wanted. The reason why he accepted Little Chi by his side was that she was rarely infatuated. Moreover, he had never thought of taking the initiative to find out more about Little Chi. However, when he heard it in the bathroom of the Holy Land of Gossip, he still pricked up his ears. Sheng Qingwan has really fattened up by herself. She's awesome when she's rich, but she's a little silly. So many people have borrowed money from her, but no one has ever returned it. I just saw a girl who's close to her borrow money, but then she turned around and scolded Sheng Qingwan. You really can't guess a woman's mind. How could those girls have any real friends? If Sheng Qingwan wasn't rich, who would play with her? Last place, haha. Yinji pretended not to hear it. However, after returning to his seat, he could no longer sleep. Was the person beside him really that stupid? Thinking of this, Yinji couldn't help but look at little Chi. He saw that she was holding her notebook and writing something. Idiot! Little Chi was baffled by the scolding. Is he out of his mind? You're the one who smoked. Did you borrow a lot of money from your classmates? Yinji asked little Chi directly. Do you have to use this method to make friends and prove that you're rich? Do you know what those people are saying about you behind your back? What do they say? Forget it. Yinji didn't want to meddle in other people's business. Moreover, little Chi's family was indeed rich. If she was so stupid, what could he do? The most irredeemable thing about a person was their intelligence. Seeing that he suddenly stopped talking, little Chi handed him the notebook that she had just scribbled on. Yinji took it impatiently and flipped through it casually. He saw that it was densely packed with accounts. I remember them all. My dad will send these bills directly to their homes in the end. Who would dare to not pay when Zhongting asked for money? Moreover, she even collected interest. Some of these idiots were beaten up by their parents for no reason. Some of them knew what was going on, so they didn't dare to come and borrow money. Yinji. He couldn't understand the operations of rich people. Forget it. She wasn't so stupid that she couldn't be saved. Chapter 10:19. Be wary of girls too. Otherwise, one day I'll sell you, and you'll still be counting money for others. Heh. Little Chi snorted lightly and signaled him with her eyes. Turn the page. Yinji turned the other page in confusion and saw that the names of all the students were written on it. Many of the names were crossed out. It meant that they could not have a close relationship. I know what those gossips are saying behind my back. It turned out that this girl knew everything. Who asked me to have such an awesome dad? As for friends, 1 or 2 is enough. As for the rest, I'll just muddle through. Little Chi took back her notebook and closed it. When she frowned, she looked like a little adult. Although she looked like she was insensitive and liked to go off the rails, she could see things clearer than anyone else. Of course, Yinji also noticed that his name was at the end of the list. However, so far it had not been crossed out. You can choose to live a protected life. My parents aren't people who need protection. Why do I need protection? Little Chi looked indifferent. I quite like this kind of life. Seeing through it, but not saying it out loud, was little Chi's normal behavior as a rich child. As for those poor people, it was pitiful enough to be poor, but their hearts were so ugly. It was really miserable. Yinji didn't say anything else. He should say it, but he had nothing to say. The girl knew everything in her heart. There was really no need for him to worry here. So, he lay down again and dozed off as usual. Hey, go to sleep later. Lend me your homework to copy. Little Chi poked Yinji's shoulder. Yinji was not in a good mood. His handsome brows were tightly furrowed, but he still handed the homework book from his drawer to little Chi with one hand. Little Chi took the homework book. Her eyes curved into crescents as she smiled. She looked very cute. However, after she opened it, she couldn't smile anymore. When had this god of sleep ever done homework? Can't you do some homework and save me from the fire and water? Why should I put myself in the fire and water to save you? Yinji propped up his head and asked little Chi in confusion. How did you do it? You didn't listen in class or do your homework, and you still got full marks? Come closer and I'll tell you. Yinji hooked his finger at little Chi. Little Chi moved her ear closer, but she heard Yinji whisper in her ear. Repeat. Little Chi said, You're a bastard. Yinji chuckled and chose a comfortable position to lie on the table. Little Chi wished she could poke the back of his head. After school, it was supposed to be little Chi and Yinji's turn to stay behind to clean up. But this person carried his school bag and went out after class. Where are you going? A fight. Are you in? Yinji threw his school bag on his shoulder and sneered. I'll follow. Little Chi immediately put down the broom in her hand and used her electronic watch to call her shadow. Uncle Hui, come in and help me clean up. Yinji. Didn't you say you would bring me there? When little Chi saw Yinji leave with his bag, she quickly chased after him. Eldest miss, that's not a fun place. Why are you still going if it's not fun? Yinji couldn't explain to her. He pushed little Chi away, walked to the school's parking lot, and rode his flashy motorcycle out. Little Chi immediately chased after him and jumped into his back seat. Get off! If you dare to throw me off, don't even think about getting your motorcycle tomorrow, Little Chi threatened as she held Yinji's shoulder. Then don't regret it. Chapter 10:20. Little Xiao was 71 years old, while Yinji was 13 years old. He was at the age of rebellion. He had indeed stayed back, but it was not because of his grades, but because of a fight. He didn't know how he had provoked this young lady. She insisted on watching the fight. When that happens, the Sheng family would tear Jianchuan apart if the girl was hurt anywhere. This was the first time Little Chi had ridden in a vehicle of the opposite sex other than her elders. Moreover, it was a motorcycle. This was also the first time Little Chi felt that a handsome boy riding a motorcycle would be so sexy and emotional. Most importantly, she held Yinji's shoulder and could smell the fresh fragrance from his back. However, Little Chi did not expect Yinji to send her directly to Zhongting's entrance. Get out of the car. We're already here. There's no point in following anymore. What do you want to take me there? Little Chi had no intention of getting out of the car. Yinji directly pulled her down and put his hands in his trouser pockets. He told Little Chi seriously, "Other than my grandmother, only my girlfriend can sit in the back seat of my motorcycle. I'll spare you today. Also, Miss Sheng, we're not from the same world. Don't think that just because you sit with me, I'll recognize you as my friend. I don't want to be friends with rich people." After saying that, Yinji got back on his motorcycle and left Zhongting's entrance before Little Chi could react. Little Chi was stunned for a moment and frowned. There was no doubt about Yinji's danger. Although Little Chi's family did not restrict her freedom to make friends, her mother would still object to Yinji's level, right? Therefore, Little Chi did not struggle anymore. She directly carried her school bag and entered Zhongting's building. When Yinji, who was at the corner, saw this, he felt relieved and went to the open space for the fight. The little girl, who was inexperienced, did not know how sinister the human heart was. The next day, Yinji did not come to class. Little Chi looked at the empty seat beside her and suddenly felt uncomfortable. Could it be that he died in a group fight yesterday? Soon there were rumors about Yinji in the school. It was said that Yinji had single-handedly challenged 5 people last night and even sent them to the hospital. He was a ruthless character. Some people also said that the reason why Yinji wanted to transfer schools was because he was too famous in another school. Fighting, drinking, and flirting, there was nothing he couldn't do. In short, Yinji was now loved and feared. For 2 whole days, Yinji did not report to school. Little Chi took the opportunity after school to say to her shadow bodyguard, "Uncle Hui, can you help me find someone's address?" The tall man was loyal and reliable. He was the driver and bodyguard that Sheng Xiao had specially found for Little Chi. A boy. Can you not tell my dad?" Little Chi looked at the man pleadingly. "You know, my dad is too ruthless." Little Chi rarely asked for help. She had only done it once in a few years. As her bodyguard, fulfilling all of her wishes was also one of Cheng Hui's tasks. "Tell me your name and wait for me for 10 minutes. Yinji." Little Chi didn't know why she wanted to look for him. That damn boy had a poisonous tongue and was dangerous. But for some reason, when she thought of Yinji riding on her, she couldn't help but want to know if that person was dead. Chapter 10:21. 10 minutes later, Cheng Hui got the address of Yinji's house. "Send me there." "Okay." Cheng Hui nodded and opened the car door for Little Chi. Yinji's house was in a small courtyard by the sea. It was clean and elegant. It did not look like a poor family. Little Chi appeared at the entrance of the courtyard, but she attracted the attention of the cleaning auntie. "Little girl, who are you looking for?" I'm looking for Yinji. I'm his desk mate," Little Chi quickly answered. "Another little girl looking for Yinji? There are several of them every day." The auntie laughed and said to Little Chi, "Wait here. I'll go in and talk to him." The cleaning auntie did not finish her sentence. Several little girls came every day, but no one had ever been able to see Hyunji successfully. Therefore, she did not think that little Chi was special. She just entered the house very normally and told Hyunji about it. Yunji, your classmate is here. Tell her to get lost. Hyunji, who was lying on the bed, looked very indifferent. Because he was injured. The fight was real, and so was the 1-on-5 fight. I knew it, but is it okay to be a deskmate? Hearing the word deskmate, Hyunji immediately got up from the bed. Wait, Auntie Hong, I'll go out and take a look. Ha! The auntie was surprised, but she did not stop him. She's just outside the door. Hyunji was wearing his school uniform and was injured. He walked out of the room and appeared in front of little Chi. What are you doing here? To see if you're dead. Little Chi looked at his bruised face and immediately shook her head. Next time you fight, tell your opponent not to hit your face. Hyunji. Now the whole school knows about your great achievement of 1-on-5. I've always been this kind of person. If you're afraid, stay away from me. Hyunji threatened little Chi. Hyunji threatened little Chi. Or, you can't wait to sit in the back seat of my motorcycle? I can consider changing your car. It's too hard and uncomfortable. After saying that, little Chi waved at Hyunji. Hurry back to class. You want to persuade me to turn over a new leaf? Hyunji's emotions were a little complicated. Or do you want to see me? I want to play with you. After saying that, little Chi waved her hand and turned to leave the courtyard. Her posture was not bashful at all. It was as if she wanted to be friends with him from the bottom of her heart. When Hyunji saw this, he couldn't help but laugh. There was a look of disbelief on his handsome face. Did this little girl know what danger was? However, it was also because of this that Hyunji clearly knew that the name Sheng Qingwan was interesting. Yunji, do you like that little girl? The cleaning auntie had been hiding behind them for a long time. When she heard the contents of their conversation, she blushed and her heart raced. This is the first time I've seen you chatting with a girl. Kids nowadays, do they start dating at such a young age? Aunt Hong is very special, isn't it? However, if I come into contact with her, I probably won't have a good life in the future, right? Hyunji's tone was slightly self-deprecating. Young master, ever since Sir and Madam left, you've become stronger. I know that it's not easy for you to guard the inheritance at such a young age, but you're still a child. You can't let yourself bear too much. Hyunji didn't say anything. He just touched the corner of his swollen mouth. Chapter 10:22. The next morning, Hyunji went to school. This was beyond everyone's expectations. The wound on his face confirmed the rumors that he had indeed gotten into a fight, and it was 1-against-5. However, when he arrived at school, he still fell asleep. Even the teacher could not do anything to him. When little Chi entered the classroom and saw Hyunji, the corners of her mouth curled up slightly. She didn't know why she felt at ease, but in short, it was much more secure than when he wasn't around. The two of them still got along the same way as before. Hyunji still slept when he should. The only thing that could cheer him up was probably physical education class. On the wide basketball court, little Chi sat on the ground with a bottle of water and watched the boys play against each other. She didn't like to move because her father had arranged enough extra self-defense classes. She also didn't like to join the girls' events. However, just as the group of boys was resting, a hand suddenly appeared in front of little Chi and snatched the mineral water from her hand. He held it in his hand and gulped it down. That's what I drank. Little Chi frowned as she looked at Hyunji, who was sweating profusely. You were the one who called me back to class. Are you reluctant to part with a bottle of water? Hyunji twisted the cap back and returned the bottle to little Chi. Leave some for me. Little Chi was stunned for a moment. Before she could answer, Hyunji's figure returned to the basketball court. The two of them drank the same bottle of water. Did he want her to become the female lead of a scandal and be attacked by everyone? Fortunately, their little flirtation did not attract the attention of the people around them. Otherwise, little Chi felt that she would probably have to endure the lasers of all the girls in the school. It couldn't be helped. After knowing that Hyunji had fought 1-against-5, All the girls in the school went crazy. They felt that he was so cool, handsome and stylish. Whoever was his girlfriend in the future would be too proud. But so far, all the girls in the school, except for little Chi, could not talk to him normally. After a basketball game, even though Yinji's face was injured, there were still some infatuated girls who thought that he was extremely handsome. They were not afraid of death, and came up to him to hand him a love letter. Classmate Yinji wiped his sweat as he looked at her. You're in the way. Little Chi was not far away, but she did not go forward to disturb him. She just quietly watched the show. I like you. The long-haired girl handed over a beautiful gift box, showing her sincerity. You want to be my girlfriend? Sure, let's get a room tonight? If there is, I won't be responsible for it. Let me make this clear first. Moreover, you are at most lover number 10. The other party was stunned. Then his face turned red. Yinji's lips curled up dangerously. Then he said to the other party, I don't play with girls' hearts. Let's do it for real. What do you think? The other party was scared away by Yinji's bold words. Then he returned to little Chi's side, took the small bottle of mineral water, and drank it in one gulp. What's the excuse this time? Little Chi asked him. I said I wanted to sleep with her, Yinji replied teasingly. In the end, who knew that she wouldn't be scared? Other little girls just want to write love letters and hold hands with you. At most, they just want to hug and kiss you. You're so fierce the moment you come. Who wouldn't be afraid? What about you? Yinji threw the bottle of mineral water into the trash can and asked her with a faint smile. Chapter 1023. As for me, I know you just like to have sex. Actually, you wouldn't do that at all. Little Chi shrugged. You're wrong. I would really do that. It's just that I'm not so hungry that I want to sleep with anyone. Yinji walked to little Chi's shoulder and whispered into her ear. If it's you, I might not be able to control myself. Seeing his naughty smile, little Chi ignored him and pushed his head away. That's enough. You're an innocent little virgin who still has your first kiss. You just like to put on a show. How do you know I still have my first kiss? Yinji sat down on the ground with a faint smile on his face. Didn't you leave it for me? Little Chi asked matter-of-factly. If you kiss someone else, then I don't want it anymore. Yinji's heart skipped a beat, because there had never been a girl who could ignore his teasing. Instead, she could naturally tease him back. Yuxing family members are quite bold. Why don't we find a small forest and do it? When little Chi heard this, she kicked him. Quit while you're ahead. In fact, the two of them were just putting on a show. Their hearts were filled with guilt. Yinji sat on the ground and laughed heartily. It had been a long time since he had laughed so heartlessly. However, because of this incident, the news of Yinji sleeping with girls and having a messy private life gradually spread. There were even more exaggerated rumors that he had already gotten several girls pregnant. When little Chi heard these rumors, she was quite helpless. This person was good at ruining his reputation. If this continued, he would probably have to transfer schools again. The teacher had looked for Yinji, but it was just rumors. What could the teacher do? He couldn't just expel someone for something that no one had seen before. Could he? Yinji was as indifferent as ever. He continued to sleep in class. However, little Chi poked his shoulder. What? Yinji's eyes were sleepy. Do you really want to transfer schools? Little Chi asked him, propping herself up with her arm. You live by the sea. Why do you care so much? Yinji felt that this kind of question was very boring. If you don't want to transfer schools, can you not make yourself into a heinous scum of society? Little Chi glared at him. I don't want you to get lost before I even gave my first kiss. After Yinji heard this, he rubbed his fluffy hair. I owed you in my previous life. Who told you to cherish my first kiss? Yinji asked. Are you sure that I'm the one who cares about you and not you? Whatever. Anyway, if you leave, I'll have a new deskmate. Little Chi looked indifferent. She tidied up her stationery and packed her school bag. Yinji took a deep breath and only said 2 words to little Chi. Troublesome. Then, he lay down on the table and fell asleep again. He had transferred schools 3 times and had to repeat a year. When had he ever cared about these rumors? As for his friends, they had always been hooligans. Smoking and flirting with girls had always been the norm. His first kiss was still there, but it did not mean that he had never been in contact with girls. But even the person who almost became his girlfriend didn't ask for so much from him. However, this little girl made him so impatient, and he had no choice but to pay attention to her. Therefore, the next day, the rumors in the school actually lessened a lot. This was because after Yinji put it down, he delayed his own time to go home. He blocked the person who spread the rumors in the bathroom and took good care of him. Chapter 1024. In fact, the rumors were not spread by those boys, but they were unlucky. When they went to the bathroom, he happened to hear them talking about Yinji. Do you think Yinji really played with girls? Didn't the people outside say it? He got a few pregnant. He's really a god. Without parents' upbringing, wouldn't he be so despicable? With a loud bang, the bathroom door was suddenly opened. Then, the three boys saw Yinji's scowling face. Since you know that I don't have parents' upbringing, you still dare to talk behind my back? When the three boys saw the wound on his face, they immediately shrunk into a ball. Do you want to go to the hospital that badly? No. The three of them waved their hands at the same time. Have you seen me play with women? No. No. The three of them seemed to be trembling with fear. Yinji suddenly stopped talking. He went forward and grabbed one of the boys' school bag. He saw his class and name. Listen up. I didn't get a woman pregnant. And I'm not interested in those pure primary school students in school. If I hear you make up nonsense again, tomorrow will be your death date. Do you understand? The three of them nodded nonstop. Don't blame them for being afraid. Yinji was a little taller to begin with. In addition to his intimidating aura, the students did not dare to move at all, afraid that they would be beaten up. They only dared to breathe after Yinji left. Oh my god, I almost peed my pants. Why didn't you guys dare to go up just now? You're still talking about me. You fought 1 against 5, and they were all people from society. We have small arms and thin legs. Let's admit defeat. As a result, the next day, Little Chi rarely heard rumors about Yinji playing with girls. However, another rumor popped up. That was, Yinji blocked the person who spread the rumor in the bathroom and taught him a lesson. Why was every rumor about him so fierce? Little Chi shook her head in disbelief. He actually took her words to heart. Although, he was still sleeping on the table as usual. Regardless of whether he played with women or not, he was still fierce. Most people in the school would take a detour when they saw him. If there was a fight in the school, everyone would have a conditioned reflex. Yinji fought again. However, the person involved did not care. He just slept soundly on the table. Not long after, the school bell rang. However, the homeroom teacher announced that in order to keep up with the neighboring schools, they would also have to study at night from tomorrow onwards. Little Chi didn't have any objections. Anyway, it didn't matter where they played. However, her gaze naturally landed on the god of sleep. It's time for evening self-study. You hear me? Go. Yinji propped up his head but yawned. It's good to do bad things at night. For example, Little Chi asked. Yinji thought for a few seconds and was about to answer when a boy suddenly ran past Little Chi and bumped into Little Chi's shoulder. Yinji was furious when he saw it. Are you courting death? The other party was scared silly. He had bumped into Little Chi, but Yinji was angry at him. Could it be that Sheng Qingwan had become his big brother's woman? How am I supposed to sleep if you make the table shake? The other party was stunned for a moment before hurriedly apologizing. I'm sorry. Got it. Get lost. The other party felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted from his shoulders, and he quickly left. Aren't you afraid of being beaten to death? Little Chi looked at him curiously. Heartless. Who am I doing this for? Little Chi curled her lips and felt warm in her heart. He was like this. He cared about people, but he didn't know how to express it properly. Chapter 1025. In short, Yinji's arrival had stirred up a wave of infatuation in the school. It was no less than those little fresh meats in the celebrity circle who had been made famous. Moreover, No matter what kind of scandal Yinji had, he was still crazily pursued by girls. Little Chi looked at the mountains of gifts and love letters piled up on Yinji's desk every day and felt deeply pained. Why hadn't these infatuated fans stopped after a month had passed? However, these things had always been thrown into the trash can by Yinji without exception. Could it be that they didn't have eyes? However, today Little Chi saw a special case. Because among the pile of gifts, Yinji actually left one behind and put it in his drawer. Without saying anything, he continued to sleep on the table. Could it be that someone's persistence had finally moved him? Wanwan, help me ask Yinji to hand in his homework. I'm timid and don't dare. After class, the math class representative grabbed Little Chi's arm and said, "He seems to only listen to you." Really? Little Chi was deeply suspicious. I'm not familiar with him. All of us saw it. After Yinji entered the school, you were the only one he chatted with. Are you saying that I don't want to be friends with rich people? And that young ladies like you don't understand this kind of conversation? Little Chi crossed her arms and asked the class representative. Huh, so he's that much? After the class representative heard this, he let go of Little Chi's arm. Then I can only bite the bullet and do it. Little Chi didn't know why, but there was a nameless fire in her heart. This kind of impatience made her want to distance herself from Yinji. Perhaps even she didn't know it herself. It was because she minded that Yinji had accepted the gift. Then, Little Chi saw that the math class representative was scolded by Yinji. As for the homework, of course, it was impossible for him to hand it in because he never did it. Little Chi quickly returned to her seat, but young master he noticed that her expression was not good. He leaned on the table and asked Little Chi, "Are you angry?" "No, because I accepted a gift from another girl." Yinji stared into Little Chi's eyes, not allowing her to blink at all. Was this person a shrewd person? Little Chi frowned. "Are you under my control?" "No. So, you don't have to tell me who you're accepting gifts from." After saying that, Little Chi picked up her school bag and left the classroom. Yinji looked at Little Chi's departing figure and chuckled. Was she jealous? Even so, it wasn't to that extent yet, but there was still some discomfort in his heart, right? She still refused to admit that she was the young miss and needed others to put her feelings in the highest position. However, he was still willing to support her. Actually, what he had just received wasn't a gift. It was just a small toy sent by his former classmate. Why are you so jealous? Which boyfriend would be able to stand it in the future? Even so, Yinji still waited for everyone to finish class before he slowly went home. No one knew why he was lingering in the school. The next morning, Little Chi saw all kinds of toys on her desk. Then, Yinji's handsome face appeared in front of her. What are you doing? The things in the package yesterday. Yinji's tone was indifferent. Someone gave them to you. Why did you put them on my desk? Little Chi frowned. These are all my favorite things to play with. My friend sent them over. My desk can't fit them all, so I'll lend them to you. Why? Yinji answered domineeringly. Chapter 1026. Showing off for no reason. Who allowed it? Little Chi retorted. You're my cheap wife. If I don't put you here, who should I put there? Yinji said matter-of-factly. When Little Chi heard the word cheap wife, she immediately lost her temper and completely forgot to retort. If you put me here, how am I supposed to attend class? Why don't you sit on me? Hearing Yinji's lewd words, Little Chi ignored him. She picked up the box on the ground and put Yinji's toys back one by one. Keep your childhood well. I can't remember it for you. Yinji took the box and smiled faintly. Before class, he deliberately said to Little Chi, You really don't want it? It's stained with my aura. Heh. Little Chi snorted. She had always known that Yinji's frivolous words to her were just for fun. This person had never been serious. Yinji also understood in his heart that Little Chi looked like a piece of transparent white paper, pure and untainted. Moreover, she was soft and looked like she was easy to bully, but her heart was colder and more determined than anyone else. She just looked easy to tease. In fact, it was very difficult for anything to really pry open her heart. Such a young child had such determination. This could not be separated from the influence of her parents. That was what Hyunji thought. Then, he continued to sleep on the table. However, it was almost the midterm exam. In order to let the students in the class improve a little, the form teacher suggested that the top 20 students in the class should tutor the bottom 20 students. After the form teacher suggested this idea, little Chi immediately felt many pairs of eyes looking at Hyunji, who was lying on the table. It seemed that they all wanted him to tutor them. I have a list in my hand. It's randomly arranged. My goal is to hope that you can help each other. Student He, don't sleep anymore. Don't even think about running away from this tutoring. It's time for you to interact with the students in the class. The old witch specially called Hyunji's name twice. There are a total of 20 groups. I'll read the names. First place, Hyunji, you tutor. Hyunji finally propped up his head. He rubbed his hair and looked at the old witch. I'll tutor the one next to me. I'm too lazy to move. Who needs your guidance? Little Chi muttered softly. But the homeroom teacher hesitated. If it's a boy, I can't guarantee that I won't do anything. If it's a girl, she's definitely more dangerous than Sheng Qingwan. Teacher, what do you think? The teacher took a deep breath and pushed up the glasses on the bridge of his nose. In the end, he had no choice but to compromise. Think carefully. She's ranked last. Only by counting down can I show my ability. After saying that, Hyunji lay down again. Little Chi took the opportunity to look around. The girl's eyes were filled with jealousy, as if they wanted to tear her apart. However, little Chi was not modest at all. Who asked the first place to take a fancy to her? No matter how others looked at her, she would act as if she didn't see anything. After the homeroom teacher read out the name list, he placed his hands on the table and said, "From now on, the evening self-study session will be the time for you to tutor each other. There's still half a month before the midterm exams. I hope that the average score of our class can increase by a few places. We won't always be last, especially for certain students." Little Chi, what's wrong with the countdown? You don't allow people to get bad grades? It's not like I've eaten your rice. Bookmark for easier reading. Chapter 1027. At 7 p.m., the evening self-study session began as scheduled. Little Chi looked at Hyunji beside her and couldn't help but roll her eyes. Why do you have to do this? The commissary in charge of studies is staring at you eagerly. Hyunji slept until he had a headache. He finally propped himself up and looked at little Chi. Which subject is the worst? As he spoke, Hyunji pulled out little Chi's workbook. After observing her handwriting, he only said one thing. Is your handwriting dog-paddled? Little Chi was speechless. Did I beg you to tutor me? I think I'll go find the second best student. He'll be very happy. Little Chi immediately snatched the workbook and was about to get up, but Hyunji stopped her. Forget it, forget it. You have to train your own wife. There's no need to ask someone else for this kind of thing. After saying that, Hyunji flattened little Chi's workbook. You're good at physics and chemistry, but you don't know shit about words. You're the one who doesn't know shit. You're eloquent. Can you pass Chinese and English? Little Chi immediately fell silent. She had really inherited this from Muchichi. She could do anything, but don't ask her to write an essay. She could write an essay full of loopholes. I have a way to guarantee that your language skills will improve rapidly. Do you want to try it? Hyunji held onto little Chi's chair and asked tentatively. Write me a love letter every day. After hearing that, little Chi immediately punched Hyunji. Hyunji laughed heartily and grabbed her little fist. How about this? If you can write me a love letter, I'll bring you along in the next group fight. Little Chi pulled her hand back and snorted. There are so many love letters in your desk. Are you missing one from me? It's not missing. I'm only looking forward to yours. Then why don't you write one for me first and give me a demonstration? Little Chi countered. Hyunji knew that this little girl looked dumb, but she was actually very shrewd. I've never written one. When Hyunji said this, he was in high spirits. After all, he had been handsome for so many years. It had always been women chasing after him. There's always a first time for everything. All the best. After saying that, little Chi put away her exercise book. Was the daughter of the Sheng family a pushover? Humph. Well, let's put language aside for now. English shouldn't be bad, right? After all, he was born in a wealthy family. Wasn't English the standard? Aya, go back to sleep. Little Chi found him very annoying. How could she not understand English as Sheng Zhao's daughter? Every time she took an English exam, she would use it to test her luck and see how many of the multiple-choice questions she could guess correctly. Yinji chuckled and really lay on the table, sleeping peacefully. His wife. Did he really think so? He didn't dare. He just thought it was fun to tease her. Did they want Xing Zhao's daughter? He must live like a cat and have 9 lives. Just like that, the two of them lived in peace for a few days, and there was no progress in the tutoring that the teacher had mentioned. Just imagine, when the whole class was having a heated discussion, only Yinji and Ming-Chi were sleeping, and the other was lost in thought. However, this situation was quickly broken because before the exam, another student transferred into the class, and it was a girl. She had long black hair and exquisite facial features. Most importantly, she did not hide her developing body at all. She looked more mature than the average girl. After she entered the class and introduced herself, the first thing she did was to ask the teacher, "Teacher, can I sit with classmate he? After all, we used to be classmates." You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.